Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, got to fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between, yeah, it's all that. And we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to us talk raps. You're listening to us talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
Used to be a smarty, now you always tardy, shooting up the parties. What up? This is Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey. Phil Lindsey.
Phil Lindsey. Who is he?
Phil Lindsey. Not to be confused with Phil Lindsey. I don't know who that guy is. Righteous Reg is here as well. What's going on?
Phil Lindsey is just you on the other side of the room with like a top hat on. Like, no, that's Phil, and then that's Phil Lindsey.
With like a monocle?
Yes. It's your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster, Righteous Reg, media man, Saturday morning. Very excited to be here. It's been a great week of celebrating my what do the Hotep homies say? My year around the sun, or my grand rising, my born day. It's been a great week of that, so I'm having a good time. Phil, how's your week been?
It's been good. Really great weather here. It's like almost 80 degrees yesterday.
Let's go.
It's been very sunny. Rained a lot last night, but got up to warm weather again.
People be outside when warm weather happens. It just feels good on your body, on your skin. The sundresses start to come out, and then like life just feels a lot better. I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah, no, here, once it gets cold, once it starts getting warm again, people rush outside, man.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, coats start flying off. People start acting like they never seen warm weather before, man.
Oh, everybody's outside with their eyes looking up to the sun, taking pictures. Like, dog, yeah, we've seen this before.
Yeah, people be acting like the Wicked Witch died. Like, still running around doing the whiz. Can you feel a brand new day?
How scary as a child were those monkeys, those flying monkeys in the Wiz? Like, I used to have to leave. Like, all right, I'm going to come back when this scene's over, dog.
There were a few scenes in the Wiz that were like, this is like really scary. Like the
this
subway stuff, like those things in the subway. I was like, what is this? Like,
I don't like how these people are moving. I don't like the way they look. I don't like the energy over here. It's very creepy. There's some moments that I'm like, is this is supposed to be a happy family movie, but it's taking a turn.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, shout out to legend Quincy Jones. Did a lot of production on that. You got to be seen green.
Unbelievable work to get Michael Jackson to be a scarecrow and have the time of his life with a Reese's wrapper on his nose. Shout out to the guy. The Wiz, if you guys don't know, is the black version of the Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah, I forgot that part. If you don't know, The Wiz is of course Motown production of The Wizard of Oz, starring Diana Ross, Michael Jackson.
Gotta remember, some people don't know that. They're like, "What the hell is The Wiz?"
Nipsey Russell is a Tin Man. Like I said, Quincy Jones is in there. Richard Pryor is The Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
That's where we get the beginning of the Euphoria record.
Amazing. If you haven't seen it, check it out. There was a remix, I think, very recently, like a live version or something. We're talking about the orig.
Yeah, they were talking about doing a Wiz remake a while back, and I'm like, I don't know if we need that. That's cool.
Everything don't. I know it's a cliche at this point. Everything don't have to be remade. They don't care about that, and they're gonna do it. But like, let's take it easy. Let's do some new IPs around here.
Yeah, we could do something new. Speaking of Kendrick Lamar, To Pimp a Butterfly, 10-year anniversary today. Doesn't seem like that album is already 10 years old. Classic album. I feel like that was the album that cemented him in the talks for a lot of people as the best rapper in this thing. And after that, it's been up since there. I think some people are down on, I don't know, the last album before this album was very heady, very filled with trauma, and some people were not as into it. But now when To Pimp a Butterfly came out, conversations was different.
I can remember I could remember that that day 10 years ago. I was driving to work, and I put this album on, and I was just like about to crash, essentially, because I was just like, "What is happening?" Like there were so many. It starts off with like King Kunta, and you're like, what? You know, it's just like starts growing and growing and growing. And then by the time it got to All Right, which is still my favorite song off of To Pimp a Butterfly, I was like, this is absolutely insane. I think I played that song like 5 times in a row, and I was just like, it's over for you guys. There was already, I think back to the time, it probably was in 2010, the first time that I heard High Power, and I was like, all right, this, like, you already knew like what was happening, and then I started to listen to nothing but TDE pretty much because I'm West Coast and that's the game. Like, but I knew like Kendrick is here to like save us. Like I just always knew that's what the game was. And then when To Pimp a Butterfly came out, I was like, we're saved. Like there's nothing. Everything from here is just a cherry on top. Like it was just the complete production. When they think about like the perfect album for an artist, like to me, that's his. Like a lot of people say Good Kid, Mad City, like he has a couple, but I think like To Pimp a Butterfly is like, what's Kendrick Lamar? That's what I'm going to play to him. That's what I'm going to show to him. And ever since then, I've been like, this is the guy. And then like he's continuously upped the ante. And then the Super Bowl this year was like, he could be like, he could retire, I think, at this point if he wanted to feel and be like, I'm good here. Like he checked off every box I think there is.
Different. I mean, of course, going deep into the weeds, if you were a fan all the way back at Section 80, you knew that this dude was legit. Like, you can't hear rigor mortis and not think like, no, that's crazy. And so
I was like, well, how do you, every time I listen to one of the songs, like, how do you do that? Like, what are you even talking about? I remember there's a video of Pharrell saying that same thing. He's like, I heard rigor mortis, and I was like, who is this? Like, how do you do that? And that's exactly how it is when you hear that song.
Yeah. So once you heard that, and then of course his first album, Big Moment, dropped like a bomb crash, like huge impact with Good Kid, Mad City. And so, you know, sometimes the sophomore drought is real. We've seen people have a classic album and then a sophomore album isn't as great. No, I think a lot of people consider his sophomore album his best album.
Yeah.
I remember the talk when the I record dropped and with the Isley Brothers sample, and people like, I don't know, this is whack. And when it came out, I was like, I don't know what y'all talking about. This is dope. As a fan of that record that is sampled and just like the way it was used, I was like, what are y'all talking about? I love this. And
yeah, so, people didn't understand when the style is not what they thought it was going to be, and so it was just totally thrown off. But like, it's such a Kendrick Lamar record too. Like, I don't even know what the deal was, but I do also understand because that's how people are.
Yes, but yeah, that dropped, and then the album came out, and all of that. You never heard that again. The version of I on the album with the live version is dope with the freestyle at the end. Great. Yeah, what album? I was a big fan of the Joey Badass album at that time. I feel like I listened to that more at that time, but the more To Pimp a Butterfly ages, it's all-time great album, classic album.
Yeah, like that's one to stand on. Like he's had a bunch more that are great too, but like that one I feel like defines who he is, what the vision is, what the West Coast represents in this, and like it's not the big three, it's Big Me. Like that was the album.
Yeah. Out of that we got the Unmastered album as well, which I'm a big fan of that album.
Love Unmastered.
The performances he did during that period, I believe he went on Colbert where he did the melody of all the songs on there, and I was just like, nah, this guy's on a different level, man.
Way different. Those performances he had, the Grammy one, there was a couple of them where he was just like back to back to back with it. Before, like that's how we knew he was going to kill it at the Super Bowl, because he had already did these tremendous performances on TV.
That was one of the clips I put online where people were talking about the Super Bowl performance, because I was like, nah, after I watched this, Wayne can't do that. I'm sorry, but I like Wayne, but he can't do that, bro.
He's continuously proved that at this point he can't. He's a legend and he's the guy, but like Kendrick was going to be different. Yeah, so 10 years, unbelievable that 10 years has went by so quickly. I feel like that was just yesterday. I was moving. Oh, because it's my 10-year anniversary in the Bay Area. That's also the thing. That was also the connection. Is like I had just got here to the Bay, and so I was hearing this album, and I was like, this is crazy. My life's about to be crazy. And it has been an insane 10 years, honestly.
Yeah. Other Bay Area legend, Steph Curry, hit 4,000 threes officially this week. One of the greatest players of all time. Still one of the most entertaining players to watch. When they put that infographic of all the balls like going up from all those places into the hoop, and I was looking at it, and one of the balls was all the way on the other side of the court by the other arc, I was like, nah, this guy's ridiculous, man.
Only he could have that infographic where it's like, you see that very often. They're like, oh, here are all the shots that LeBron hit. Here are all the shots that Kobe hit. Here are all the shots that Jordan hit. And then Steph says, one is just on the other side. And that probably was like a halftime shot in the game because he loves doing those.
Bro, 4,000 threes is crazy. I don't think we'll see anybody break that record anytime soon. Nobody's even close to him at this point. I believe right now he's like more than 1,000 threes ahead of the second person below him.
Unbelievable.
Which is crazy. I might be exaggerating, but he's way ahead of this person that comes in second. I don't think anybody's going to break that record anytime soon.
You couldn't like imagine telling someone, hey, try to hit 4,000 threes. Like you can't like
4,000
and these are like most of those were like game winning or championship winning, like the game's on the line. It wasn't just like he likes threes. No, these were like the threes that established him as the greatest shooter ever.
Yes. Yeah. I made no secret. Big Steph fan. Not necessarily a Warriors fan. Bulls fan, sorry. To death. Commiserating Bulls fan, but
I wouldn't want you to, you know?
But big Steph Curry fan, big appreciator of what he's done for basketball. And just seeing that infographic, seeing like 4,000 threes, it's just like,
it sounds silly. It's like, no, you can't really do that. I hate seeing put him in a different generation. He was in this generation, though. I hate when they start to talk like that.
Still the greatest three-point shooter of all time. Still a top 5 point guard, in my opinion. And he's in the conversation for one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion. Argue with your mama. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for real. One of the basketball games I was watching this week was a game between the Pacers and the Bucks that ended in a very Reggie Miller type way, with Reggie Miller calling the game. Tyrese Halliburton did a Reggie Miller thing, and it was just crazy to see where the game is. Speaking of threes and how like he changed the game so much like that, there possibly will be somebody that catches him because that's the game now, Phil. I guess that's where I'm trying to get to.
4,000 threes is a lot of threes. Clown is saying that Harden is second with 3,000. Sorry, I just got off my screen. 3,131. But still, like that's almost 803 gap between those two guys.
So many threes, dog. And like Harden's not gonna catch him.
No. I mean, this guy is not done yet. I mean, he could easily finish his career and end up with like, 4,500 threes to finish his career.
And he's gonna try. Like it's not gonna. Like he's not like I hit 4,000. I'm done now. No, I'm gonna try to hit 15 more tomorrow. Go, amazing, one of the best ever. The game has changed because of him in the Bay Area. Every time I ride by a mural, I'm like, they love him here too. What a time! What a place to live in, Phil. As a Chicagoan, a basketball player that people worship, it like just feels different.
Yeah, just feels different. Even if you're not winning, just when you have somebody of that level in your city, and he lifts the city on his shoulders,
you guys, no matter what.
It's just different. LeBron and Steph and Stephen A. saga has continued this week, and I'm just like, are we done talking about this shit? Like, can we move on now? This has been milked to death. I don't think we need to hear any more about this.
I knew it was up when Stephen A. was like, I'm about to be on Gil's Arena this week. I was like, oh no, this is gonna be not good at all.
Yeah, I don't need to see him talk about this anymore. When he went on Gil's, I knew what it was gonna be, and I mean, when he went on Gil's Arena, he had more context because we got that clip of Brian talking to Richard Jefferson.
Mad about that Richard Jefferson clip. So mad.
And I understood why, but it doesn't really help you.
No.
Like to come back and say it's weak now, even though I agree that it does look weak when you consider what he was actually doing. I don't think anybody wants to hear you say that. And I definitely don't want to see you sitting next to Sean Hannity saying that, and Sean Hannity saying that he put hands on Brian. Like, get the fuck out of here. Don't nobody want it.
Because it looks like you were copping a plea at the game. Like you were like, all right, no, it was chill. Like, we're not trying to do this right now. But then you see some other context and you're like, actually, that was a bitch move. No, that's not really not really the time.
No. And I mean, again, if you get into what was actually done, I do think he could have just had a conversation with the guy.
Definitely.
But that's how he does everything. He does everything very publicly. This is the guy that got on ESPN and did a whole sit down when he left the Cleveland Cavaliers and went to Miami Heat. This is what he does. Everything has to be public. So I'm not surprised by that. But yeah, I think we can stop talking about this now. Let's move on.
It's way too much of some little dumb incident. Like it should have happened that night. We talked about it the next day and moved on. Like we should not still be in it. Like we shouldn't be getting more commentary and more basketball takes, but we are because LeBron. They all talk about LeBron. They say
biggest player in the world. They're gonna talk about him constantly. This was a pretty big moment for him to walk up on him. I saw the tagline for the clip for Melo talking about it on his podcast, and Wade was on there, and I just saw the blurb under it that just said "about time," and I was like, "Oh, I see what this is."
I mean, two of LeBron's biggest known homeboys, of course,
they're friends. Banana Boat crew, they're not going to disagree with him.
No, that clip of them watching the Joe Budden podcast do the basketball, I died, Phil.
in tears laughing at it, man. Hilarious, bro. Just the start of it, of Joe standing there looking very out of shape with the ball up, and Melo couldn't stop laughing.
That sounds crazy.
Start with that stance, bro. It's crazy, bro.
That's why I've been thinking about it. Feels like every couple of years with WrestleMania weekend, there's been somebody that's like, we should have a basketball game. And I'm like, dog, we should not have a basketball game.
Yeah, I know some wrestling media guys get together and play basketball, I think around All Out or something. Mm-hmm. And they invited me one year and I was like, nah, buddy, y'all not going to get me.
Please shoot footage if you do decide one day. But I think we might be past our prime, like the guys on the podcast.
It's time to hang them up, dog. Like I can't think of the last time I've been on a basketball court.
Right.
And yeah, that was funny. I was watching something, and it was in relationship to Brian, and Brian's tell for a lot of people is calling him a bitch. He does not. Of course, nobody likes to be called a bitch, but he gets like in his feelings, like. And so there was a clip of Chalmers. That's what it was. Marla Chalmers was talking about it, and it cut to Dwight Howard. He was like, "I got kicked off the team for that."
Yeah, I saw that.
But it was so funny because I was like, bro. You haven't played basketball if you haven't been called a bitch. Like just playing on a court somewhere, bro.
I'm pretty sure if I traced it back, like my original time being called a bitch is on a basketball court, and it's like not really personal. It's just like we playing a game,
just casually throw the ball, bitch. Like just
it's not like I'm
shoot the ball.
It's just like we out here and this is intense. And these guys are talking about championship games and like the games with LeBron James, and like they both told the same story. They're like, bro, he wasn't hustling and we told him to stop being a bitch and get to it.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, boy, I watched the last two Lakers games, and oh man, I've watched Dallas games this year, so I'm used to him doing it. But now he's in more primetime games. Luka got to stop all this whining, dog. I hate it. Stop all this whining about calls. I hate it, dog. Just play, man. I don't cut it out, dog. Cut it out. Stop all this whining, man.
I mean, you knew it was kind of gonna go up with the Lakers. Like just the things you're describing. He's like, I'm on prime time now. I'm really gonna amp up the drama. As dog, it's too much.
I can't, man. Hey, boy, I thought we were gonna get a good game out of that Boston game last weekend. Mm-hmm. Not a good game. They got stomped out. Bron ended up leaving that game early. Not a great game. But a lot of good basketball. I saw the other thing people were getting on the inside the NBA guys on because Shaq did not know the coach of the Detroit Pistons. For some reason, he thought Chauncey Billups coached the team, which no, Chauncey coaches Portland.
Doing a great Chauncey Billups. They was like, who?
No, Candace Parker got on him immediately. Like, wait a minute, who? I'm not letting this go. Who?
Chauncey Billups. Then he goes, I don't watch the Pacers. It's like, what?
No, he's like, first of all, I don't watch the Pistons, boo boo. It's like, all right, man. I feel you. But yeah, Pistons are looking good. I'm not surprised. Kate Cunningham, great player, great draft pick for them. I knew either last year's struggles was either going to completely crush this guy or was going to turn him into a monster. Yep. Go figure. He's been great. No, the Pistons coach is not Van Gundy. It's Bickerstaff. Is it?
No one knows at this point.
No, it's Bickerstaff.
Jeff Van Gundy. We have to make sure we acting like Shaq out here, you guys.
Yeah.
Really good
guys, JB Bickerstaff is the Pistons coach. Stop it.
Shout out to JB Bickerstaff. That's a great name too.
Yeah, I think he has a real chance to win Coach of the Year, honestly. With the turnaround that the Pistons have, it's going to be hard to beat out Cleveland's coach. I think Cleveland's coach might have this one in the bag with just how good Cleveland is. So, man, sorry, commiserating Nets fans that Kyrie Irving and KD got this guy fired, and then he went somewhere else and made the team better.
Unbelievable.
Sorry to see it.
Like already winning 50 games and like just like cruising along like we're about to do more is unbelievable. And this climate of basketball too is like even crazier, you know?
Yes. But yeah, you know what it is. Send us your super chats. That is the best way to get your chat read on this podcast. You can also send us your Humper chats, humperchats.com/Fightful.
For sure, of course, we always appreciate your support with the Super and Humper chats. Y'all are the best. We're about to get into some of them right now. The homie Bragov says, happy Grapsody. Hope you had a great birthday, Reg. I did have a great birthday, Bragov. Saw a bunch of the homies in LA, saw some homies in Bakersfield, and it was great. Everybody was super nice about it, pretty much.
Yeah. One of our mutual friends called you 2 days later on Ask Grapsody.
Yep.
It was funny to watch as it was happening.
Big fan of one of our friends. Shout out to Emilio, a great guy. He left me a very scathing voicemail, and I looked at the voicemail. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I was sitting there watching him record this voicemail on Ask Grapsody, and I was like, I don't think I said, well, first of all, I'm glad he doesn't have the kind of voicemail that it says his number before he gets into it, because his number would have just get blasted out over Patreon.
Jeez Louise, that was a close one. But yeah, you know, now like when they send the voicemail, it comes in as like a text message. So I'm like, what the hell is Emilio talking about? Glad I'm not in a ditch. I'm like, yo, what?
Glad I'm not in a ditch.
What happened? I don't understand what's happened. But yeah, shout out to the homie, amazing guy.
Yeah.
This Tyrone Kid says, Tessa entrance at Sacrifice. That is all. SMH.
So initially, I just saw the picture of Tessa with the bandana backstage and the jean jacket, and I was like, okay, what is this? I mean, we've been having this conversation since she came back. She came back with the shiesty on and the big bubble goose, and I was like, okay. And so then I saw this, and I was like, okay, we're just going straight on Chola, huh? And
full head on Chola mode, Chola mentality.
And then I saw the entrance with like the rapper, and I was like, that's a choice. All right, interesting. I'm good. Listen, man, I am not a racist. I like rap music. I like Mexican music. I like Mexican music. I like Mexican food. Look, I've wrestled in Mexico. I am not a racist, bro.
I like Mexican food. I started thinking.
I like Mexican men. Like, bro, I am not a racist. Cut it out.
I started thinking in that moment. I'm like, I think she's taking a bunch of Mia Yim's bits. Because I think Mia Yim has did like every one of these bits that she's doing at this point.
I mean, you know, Mia's of the culture.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It works when Mia Yim does it. So it looks crazy over here.
It looks crazy because you're now doing all of this while you also have like wild allegations.
that have not been addressed. No addressing. She just like, bring out a rapper for me. That'll look dope.
To not address the allegations and then do this, it just looks wild.
She
man.
went head on, dog. Gwen Stefani, dog. BANNAS or whatever the fuck the thing is. Cause like, what is this? She gonna start sea walking soon. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I think.
Dun Nah, coming out to certified gangsters the next move, man. Dun.
She gonna come out leaning like Tessa. You gotta reel it in, person.
You gotta relax, man. You gotta relax, man.
I like Mexican food. I like Mexican men. It's crazy.
And no, they were all over on social media, as I would expect. Oof.
Oh man, really good one, Tessa. I mean, it feels like she's up. It's up for her. Like she's like, I could do no wrong at this point, so I'm gonna keep going for it.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of Sacrifice. I've heard some of the bits and pieces of it. Might be heading towards a Nick Nemeth heel turn. Interesting.
Cool.
We got an update on the Ryan Nemeth lawsuit. I don't know if you saw that. AEW and Tony Khan have petitioned to send it to arbitration because their claim is that in his contracts in the fine print, all of these things are supposed to be settled via arbitration. So they're trying to push, instead of going to court, to just settle this through arbitration, which I do think is going to happen. I think this is going to be handled behind closed doors. There'll probably be a settlement or something, which I'm assuming is probably what Ryan wanted.
Yeah, that's what I kind of felt like it was. Like he's like, if I make it public, essentially it'll go faster, and that's what it felt like happened.
Yes.
Crazy enough. Appreciate that, Tyrone Kid. The homie Grapple Geekery says there was a Wizard of Oz theme park in North Carolina mountains when I was a kid. Their flying monkeys scared the crap out of me as a little kid. That park later burned down. Kid me was scared by the Wiz too. That sounds absolutely insane.
How did it burn down? What happened there? What happened? Some kid was like, never again, not these flying monkeys. I'm going to get rid of them once and for all. He came in there with a Molotov cocktail like, nah, enough.
His mom took him the day before, and he's like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this trauma no more, and I want no other kid to deal with this trauma. This park is gone. A little kid with a Molotov cocktail sounds crazy. Oh, man. The homie Tenruza says, need Leslie Jones to rep AEW versus Bowen Yang with New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door in London. Also, Reg, hope you feel good after celebrating. Emilio Call was funny.
Yeah, that was very, very funny. Yeah, let's bless Leslie Jones and everything she does. She was fantastic. Hopefully we see her at more wrestling shows because she was fucking great.
We're going to get into Revolution here, Phil, but when I could see her from her entrance come in, it was up. As soon as she got in the arena, she was like slapping hands with the fans. I was like, this is about to be a time. And so I had an eye view of her for the whole show. And like, the show was amazing, but it was double amazing watching her react to the show.
Listen, I love black people, man. Just her energy is just so infectious, but her out there screaming and standing the whole time. And at one point she's like wiping her face with a towel. I was like, this is like the blackest thing I've ever seen on any wrestling show.
And that was perfect, Phil, because she showed up as Mercedes was in the ring and she was hype for Mercedes. So it was like pretty much anybody that was black, she was going up for him. And yeah, she turned to everybody's auntie. It was great.
Yeah. A lot of celebrities were in the building. A lot of SNL people were there. Surprising. Jay Farrell was there. I was telling somebody that messaged me about it because I was like, oh, there's Jay Farrell. And I just think with Jay Farrell all the time, like his rise to prominence from being a YouTuber that did the impersonations to being on SNL is still just crazy. Yeah. And like thinking about, we witnessed the guy go from YouTube to SNL and everything that came of that. Shout out to Jay Farrell.
He kind of started a thing that's how you like now you can, there's TikTok people that are getting, there's like, that's a lane that he was one of the originators of. And it's insane to see. I saw a moment between Jay and Leslie, like when they first noticed each other across the space. And they're like, we are who we are. Yes, we both were on SNL and we are both black. It was a beautiful moment. I was having the time of my life. What a great crowd. There was a lot of other celebrities. Like it's a Los Angeles show. So No one's really surprised. It felt like
Staples Center.
That's how PWG shows used to be. Like you just show up and like some giant celebrities just there and they don't care.
Yeah, Ken Jeong was there.
Mm-hmm.
Lakers great. Michael Cooper was front row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of celebrities.
Michael Cooper. I was like, who is that Michael Cooper? Because everybody was like trying to talk to him.
Yeah. All right, Michael Cooper in the Staples Arena. Staples Center. I mean, crypto or whatever it's called. It's still Staples Center to me.
Yes. But yeah, no, knowing who he is afterwards, I was like, oh, that's why everybody was so excited. Yeah. Leonard Anderson III said, Charles told y'all about the Lakers, just saying.
No, Chuck was right about that. And I know every time he does it, people are like, oh, you're a hater. But it's like, no, he's saying this for a reason. And, now it could be part of it. When you say something and you know you're right, and then people then start yelling at you for it, you're going to get louder. And that's often what happens with these things. And so I think now every time he says it, it has some sauce on it because it's like, nah, I told y'all, like, stop.
I said this.
Stop wilding on me like I'm wrong.
I'm tired of getting punched on and beat down on for things that I'm right about. That's how it is, though. They never go back and be like, you were right, actually. Some people who know personally.
Did you see Chuck and the guys laughing at Stephen A, by the way? Very, very, very funny.
No, I need to see that so bad.
They were trying to like talk around it and like, do the subs. And Chuck at one point was like, nah, getting cursed out with Larry Brown. Larry Davis sitting there, bro. Like, you can't write that, bro. Larry Davis sitting there and like.
I just don't like how Stephen A was trying to act tough. Like, why are you trying to act tough?
Well, the energy changed after he realized why he actually walked up on him. Because I think he was initially confused.
Yes.
Because I think he was like, well, wait a minute. I didn't say anything about your son. And then when he realized, like, wait a minute, this is about you.
Yeah,
I told you that. Like, like, what do you mean? And so, yeah, I don't know. You can calm down. Everybody can calm down. And I mean, I've said we talked about this enough. I do get where he's coming from to a degree because he's going to keep being asked about this. Nobody's going to ask LeBron about it.
No, they're going to move on.
Like, even when he did press after the game and stuff, I haven't seen anybody ask LeBron about this, but they're going to keep asking Stephen A about this. And he's
in a year, they're still going to be like, hey, remember that one time LeBron came up to you? Like, he has to deal with the consequences of this. That does make sense. Unfortunately. But also, he gets to talk about LeBron a lot. You make money doing that.
Yeah, but also, we can stop talking about this. It's cool.
The homie Tenruza also says Kendrick out here being ace needs to get yay. We don't.
No, let's not give that guy attention. Let's cut it out.
We don't say that guy's name in the house of the Lord.
And this is all, I guess, because he was on the Cardi album. Is that what this was for?
Yeah, there was something about the dude sent a text to Cardi to be like, get him off or some, he's on that power trip right now. Did you hear the Cardi record?
I did not.
I mean,
I'm not a big Cardi fan.
Yeah, same here. I was like, when the fuck would I listen to that?
the Saba album that I've been waiting for, I think that comes out in like 3 days.
Oh, sick.
Today's the 15th. Yeah, it comes out on the 18th, I think. The Saba No ID album that's going to drop next week.
Damn, we're getting a Saba No ID album. We're getting a Rock Marcy and DJ Premier album, I think. I'm like, this is a great time for hip hop again. I love it here.
Yeah, when is this Yasin Bey album dropping?
Another one, man. Oh, this is going to be a crazy start of the year. I very much am looking forward to it. They did like a stream on Bandcamp where they played the whole thing. So did they? Yeah. It was like a week and a half ago or something. They were like in Paris maybe, and they like did a stream, played the whole thing. I expect it to come pretty soon off of that.
Cool. Looking forward to that.
That's 3 insane combinations right there. The homie Meet Norma says at 41 and 51, you can't say nobody beats the Wiz.
14 and 51.
14 and 51. Nobody beats the Wiz. That's hilarious. Everyone but the Hornets does. As Tony Storm says, let's throw the keys in the bowl and let's crank. Megan Bang gonna make the title meaty. Petites for the TBS.
That picture, whoever got that still of Tony finishing her promo, and then you can see Megan stepping into the spotlight, getting ready to elbow her. Hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Megan Bain, I was there on Wednesday and in person. She's gonna make a great champion. That's all I gotta say.
I'm on the bandwagon, buddy. I've been on the Megan bandwagon like for the last few weeks watching it. I'm on the bandwagon.
Dog, she was out there for like a minute or so, and like after the show, I was like, "Damn, Megan Bain, dog, she's on her way." That was crazy. Yeah, she has a presence. Like when she came out there, like the energy was like, "Damn, who was that?" Like if people were not fully aware, they were aware immediately after. Like she's on her way. Yes. Great presence, and the Tony promo we'll get into was great. Also, Leonard Aarons III also says peak IWC hypocrisy is having issues with Tessa while watching a promotion booked by Mr. I don't see color, but yeah, go on.
I mean, there are slight differences.
Yeah,
there's some slight differences. We don't have direct proof of one person being racist, but we do have an account for more than one person saying that the other person used a racial slur and spit on someone. Yeah, not quite the same.
And a wrestler versus a booker, like there's things. I hear you though, Leonard. Grapple Geekery also says several buildings burned down along with costumes, props, and offices at the same time. Someone stole legit Judy Garland movie props from their museum. Wow. So there was like a little heist. They're like, we're gonna burn this down. We gonna get the Julie Garden pieces. Like
leaving here with something.
Leaving here with this sounds crazy. Like they can make a movie out of this. I think. The homie Hassan Butler, what's up? Hassan says John Cena should drop a heel album.
Please don't. I don't want no John Cena raps in 2025. I'm good.
But Philly covered up his bald spot. Why were people so excited about that?
I saw people like, where did it go? I'm like, it's a comb over, guys. That's what. I don't.
People are so funny, man. I'm like, why is this? Let the man. He's old, dog. Not old, but older. He's old. He's aging. This is the thing. He's not old. He's on his way. He's great. Thanks, Hassan. Appreciate you. Margie Loves. What's up, Margie? Says, hey guys, glad you had a good birthday, Reg. I started a rewatch of Veep and Curb because of the political climate. Has me super down in the last couple of weeks. Thanks for bringing the joy on Saturdays.
Yeah, Curb is I have to do a big Curb rewatch. Me and Emilio were talking about potentially doing a watch along of Sopranos, and I was like, bro, getting to the episode where Meadow brings home the black boyfriend, that's gonna be interesting to watch.
Is this gonna be content? Because this sounds amazing. Phil and Emilio watch The Sopranos.
Well, we talked about it. Maybe.
That sounds so good. But yeah, Margie, Veep is also an incredible show. Julia Lewis, she's just the best to ever do it. And Curb, I just watched the full Curb and it's so good. I would do it again. Like I was thinking, I started going through like one of those clip things where they show all the funniest clips, and I was like, shit, I might do it again. It's so funny.
I recently watched the episode where the blacks came to start living with him, and he went and got the cake. A great show, man.
Amazing stuff. If you haven't seen it, dog, watch it. It's so funny. I had like, this is the first time watching the final season, and the MAGA hat was like, I died, bro. No, I was dead, bro.
That episode, the stuff with him and Mocha Joe.
Joe. It's so funny, you guys. No bullshit. You have to watch it. Appreciate that, Margie. Thanks for the generous super chat. The homie Corey MacArthur says, what's up, Grapsody, the dope rapper that we hear on AEW, Righteous Reg, and the man himself, Phil Lindsey, sending mad love to you guys. Thanks, Corey. Appreciate you showing up for Grapsody today. Used to seeing you in the Cali Connection Denise chat.
Man, right here. DJ is saying Crazy Eye Killer is my favorite episode. That is one of my favorite episodes. When he comes in, when he comes to his house and he was like, man, let me give you Larry fucking David. Let me give you a tour, man. Like he's walking around and he's like, yeah, this is the kitchen. This is the floor. It's made of like wood and shit. You know, this the counter. It's made of like marble and shit. Hilarious.
So funny, dog. You gotta watch it. Appreciate you, Corey. Appreciate everybody for submitting super chats here early. If you want to get one read, you could submit one too.
I hear you up there popping a bubble, Larry. I know you here.
Crazy Eye Killer.
Just how great he is at writing these things. So starting the episode of him stomping on those bubbles, and then that plays into the episode later. So funny.
Yeah, I hear you up there popping them bubbles. So
I hear you popping the bubbles, Larry. I know you hear.
best tie-ins.
Let's get into some of these Humper chats. We got some Van Twinblade. He says, today is going to be a bad weather day. It's only 10:40 when I'm typing this, and there are already PDS tornado warnings in Mississippi. PSD is particularly dangerous situation. I think you got backwards, PDS, so it should be particularly dangerous situation. And it's the weatherman speak for a holy fucking shit. Y'all get to cover. There is a high risk tornado warning for the area from Jackson, Mississippi to Birmingham, Alabama. We haven't had a setup like this since 2011. Y'all down south, remember the super outbreak. Please be safe. Keep your local news on, and we need each other. Yeah, no, everybody, please be safe if you are in those areas. I saw some stuff earlier with like some severe weather stuff here, but we just got like some rain last night. Wasn't nothing too bad.
I have a friend, shout out to my friend Rick, who watches the show, probably will hear this, that sends a message to the group chat like every 6 months. He's like, there's another hurricane. You guys pray for me. And we're always like, get out of there. We're tired of hearing this. Like for the last 5 years, he sends one. So I'm always worried when these things happen. Hearing Van Twinblade saying this, I'm like, he's probably in that zone at some point. So everybody out there sending love. I don't know. I live in California, so we deal with earthquakes. We don't deal with anything that you can see like a tornado. Sounds just like, what? How do you? When I see the videos of the tornadoes and they just fucking ripping through stuff, I'm like, that's scary, dog.
Nuts. Yeah. Glad that I don't stay close to any of these last huge masses of water where we could get hurricanes and these things either.
They sent that. There was a couple months ago where that tsunami warning came through for California, and they were like, everybody they were saying in Oakland, like I got like a message, get to higher ground. And I was like, what? So like, I don't know, man. Yeah. Of course, that would be what takes us out and how crazy everything is. Some just random natural disaster because like shit's fucked up.
Yeah. These this stuff with these planes is crazy too. Like that video of that plane just sitting on the tarmac on fire. I was like, what is going on, bro?
Especially because it's getting close to me getting on a plane time. You too.
It's very scary stuff, man. So yeah, everybody please be safe.
I'm like, shit, I might drive to Vegas at this point. Oh, planes are crazy.
Yeah, no, it looked crazy. The plane's on fire, and you could see the people evacuating on the wing and climbing down. I was like, this looks terrifying.
The anxiety that already comes with just sitting down, waiting to take off. And could you imagine? Actually, it's on fire. We all need to get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Yes. Got some more from Tony P. He says, Mad fans about to riot. You trade Luka for Davis. Davis gets hurt. And a few games later, Kyrie goes down. Then you have the nerve to raise your ticket prices. The front office is not doing coke. They doing some vintage 80s crack. Like, what the hell? Yeah, it's
something's going on for sure.
Not a fun time for Mavs fans. I don't think they're going to get a great draft pick either.
Oh.
Yeah, not looking good for Mavs fans. And as I keep saying, you guys just went to the finals less than a year ago.
Probably thought they were going to have another attempt at it. So I could see why the fans are upset and want to riot. And Nico
wild, bro.
Booze everywhere he goes at this point.
Wild. I was watching that Lakers-Knicks game. That was the game where Stephen A. got confronted. And I was looking like, bro, this team really at one point had Luka Doncic and Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
They had Luka and Brunson at the same time, and now they have neither of these guys.
Yeah, now they have nothing. That's how does this happen?
Well, they have Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is now stuck there. Sorry, Klay.
I see every time I see him with a lineup, I'm like, who are these other guys?
Yeah, sorry, Klay. And then meanwhile, Jimmy Butler came over there, and they're now 13-1 with that guy.
Having a pretty fun time over here. Thanks for Jimmy, you guys.
Yeah.
I knew it though, because like we talk often on this podcast how big of fans we are of Jimmy Butler. I was like, oh, if he comes and just plays basketball, it's gonna be great. And he's came and just played basketball, and it's been great.
Yeah. Once he's focused and he's not like dealing with something else, yeah, he's one of them guys. So
Yep.
I already
get a run out of like this. You know, you might get a run out of. Who knows what could happen after the season? Like he could have a change of heart and things could go to a disaster. But for now, we're here.
Well, he signed an extension, so he's there.
We lit, baby. What's up?
They gave him big money, so he's there. But yeah, he's been in situations with way less than playing next to Steph Curry. When he was here, he had to carry us at some points because Derrick Rose was hurt and other situations. And that Miami Heat team that he took to the finals, it was just him and a bunch of role players.
Unbelievable.
Still one of the
lucky break.
Yeah, so I think this is a come up for Warriors. I think that makes them a team to watch in the playoffs. I don't know if I would say they're contenders, but they're definitely going to be entertaining to watch.
Still, as it's been the last couple of years, too small, probably.
Yeah, I mean, well, it helps that you guys got Kuminga back now, so we'll see how that helps.
But damn, there's some bruisers out there ready to fight. Like that Bucks game, I was watching Giannis, and I was like, Giannis bulldozing niggas.
Giannis is playing really great ball right now too. He's hooping.
Yeah.
He do be traveling sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
I can blow that whistle. Sometimes it's way more than 3 steps.
Look, to be a superstar, you get a couple extra steps. It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But Giannis will do a move with it and then hit it on you. Like Giannis is a bad boy.
Yeah, that was the other funny thing about the Joe Budden clip they played of Joe coming out of that whatever that move he thought he was doing. He looked like he tried to do a Euro step and like throw it off the glass. And I was just like, where were you going with the ball if it came back? You were going to try and dunk it? Like, what are you about to do?
You throwing it up to yourself? Yeah, I don't think that's probably not it.
More from Tony P. He says, also my Heat also keep making me sad, but not my petty of the week winners, who I decided on this morning. One of my starter faves, Konami. I did know how much more of a menace she was to SOK compared her to Julia. She gives 0 fucks about SOK's face. Shout out to Konami.
Yes.
Got a handful of more Humper chats. Let's see what else we got here. I'm going to put a tack in those and get into some of this New Japan stuff from this weekend because there was a lot of New Japan shows to watch. I surprisingly managed to keep up with everything.
Oh, great.
It was it was touch and go here, but I did keep up with everything. I managed to keep up with more of the New Japan stuff than
anything else.
Regular wrestling. So I watched Raw, but I did not see all of SmackDown last night. But I did somehow see all of New Japan. So
nice.
I did see some of this A-Shock. I did see some of the Bears stuff. Tentatively holding my breath. I can't get excited. I've been a fan of this team for too long. It's hard for me to get excited now.
All the years that I've known my friend Philip Lindsey, I don't know if I've ever seen him excited about the Bears because he knows he sets himself up with expectations. So
yeah, something in me changed after watching them lose that Super Bowl, and I was just like, I just can't. And I mean,
I know because Super Bowl hurts you. Every time you talk about it, I could just feel like you're just like. But you go back to that day every time.
Yeah, I was so excited that season because I mean, we were like,
it was lit.
we were on top that year, bro. Our
Hester
defense was
like,
stout, bro. We were. Hard for me to get excited now, but they did make some good moves. They made some much needed moves for the offensive line, but. Still very hard for me to get excited.
Is this move still happening? Are they still talking about it? Is it a thing?
The Arlington thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see that working. Nobody wants to go to Arlington to watch football games. I just don't see it.
Not the vibe.
No. But New Japan Cup continues. We got some more matches. If this pop-up would stop popping up over the bracket so I can actually read it. That would be nice. But last time we were here, we got all the way up to the first half of the first round. We got the rest of the first round matches on the right side of the bracket. LP took on Great O'Khan. Of course, Great O'Khan picked up the win to move on to the second round. Pretty decent match. Tetsuya Naito took on Callum Newman first round as well. Picked up the win to move on. He faced Jeff Cobb in the second round. Tomohiro Ishii took on hot up-and-comer Drilla Maloney. Drilla Maloney, man, has been on fire recently. He's been a lot of fun to watch. The match he had earlier this year with Shingo Takagi, fantastic. He had a rematch in the New Japan Cup, which I'll get into in a second, but had a really good match in the first round against Tomohiro Ishii. Yeah, they got something in this guy. Very curious to see where they go moving forward after New Japan Cup, but he's been incredibly fun to watch. Bolton Oleg, of course, has been another guy that's still very fun to watch. Big guy, tosses people around, hits people very hard. He beat Bad Luck Fale in the first round to move on to face Shingo Takagi in the second round. Then we have the second round matches this week. A lot of the stuff was more the story-based stuff based on developments earlier this year. So we got Evil taking on David Finlay in the second round match. This is the payoff of Evil starting his bid to kick the War Dogs out of Bullet Club. And so this started with a big schmoz with all of the Bullet Club guys and the House of Torture guys in the ring. There was a lot of brawling in this, a lot of shenanigans. It was okay for what it was. Once it actually got into the match, it was solid, but it was a lot of the House of Torture stuff you would expect. David Finlay picked up the win here, eked out a close win with a countout victory to move on to the next round. Yuya Uemura took on Yoshihashi. Yoshihashi has been, unfortunately, taking on a lot of hecklers because his tag team partner is now the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. So people are like, oh, you're just riding his coattails. Who are you? And unfortunately, he did take the loss here to Yuya Uemura. Yuya Uemura will move on to the quarterfinals to face David Finlay. Oiwa took on Zack Sabre Jr. in a rematch that people have been looking forward to. This was a fun match. Oiwa targeted Zack's arm and shoulder a lot. Same thing he did to Chase Owens in the first round. Funny watching Zack have to be put through the men's like he does with everybody else, tying him up. But Zack Sabre did pick up the win here. This was a strong match. You can still see the future is very bright for Oiwa. That's a guy that I think New Japan can do more and more with. He showed a lot of promise here, and he showed a lot of promise so far in every match he's been in since he came back.
It feels like this tournament has a lot of these guys finding their footing in New Japan, which is New Japan's great at doing that with tournaments. That's why they have them. That's why they're so prestigious in their promotion.
Yes. Very controversial match here. Gabe Kidd beat Ren Narita in the first round. Again, that was a part of the storyline of the War Dogs versus House of Torture. There were bits of shenanigans in that match as well. But Gabe Kidd did beat Ren Narita to move on to face Tai Chi. This match was very good to start. Tai Chi has been attempting to prove himself in this tournament. He came out of the feud with Sonata looking to prove himself because, of course, he lost to Sonata, and Yuya Uemura ended up coming back to face Sonata instead. And so instead, Tai Chi has been trying to prove himself along the way. And he had a very hard-hitting, exciting match with Gabe Kidd. These guys went full on. He hit Gabe with a Gonzo bomb at one point that looked absolutely disgusting. Gabe Kidd hit him with this jumping pile driver. Man, great match. And then House of Torture interfered to get revenge for the first round match, and Evil being ousted from the tournament by David Finlay. They came out and jumped Gabe Kidd. Gabe Kidd lost via count out. Gabe Kidd is officially out of the New Japan Cup. That is a very controversial move because Gabe Kidd has started this year so hot. And so I can see a lot of people thinking Gabe Kidd's going to win this tournament. Personally, he was never my pick to win, but and I get it. This is a great booking choice to protect him moving forward and take him out of the tournament so he doesn't have to take a pin. And he wasn't pinned here. He lost via count out, but it's House of Torture stuff.
It's still House of Torture, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, cannot recommend the first half of this match enough. This was a great match getting up to the shenanigans. Damn. Unfortunately, Gabe Kidd is out of the tournament. Taichi was not happy with this at all. He was in the ring yelling at Gabe Kidd to get up the whole time because, again, he's been trying to prove himself here. So he was very disappointed with the way he won this match to move forward. And he's like yelling in the ring, get up, Gabe, get up. And couldn't go. Taichi did win to move on to face Zack Sabre Jr. in the next round. On the other side, we got Shota Umino taking on Great Khan in a rematch from earlier this year. Of course, Great Khan faced Shota Umino in the hair versus hair match and sent Shota away spiraling. So I was curious to see how he would come back. That was a big storyline coming into the tournament. How can he recover from both that match and the big loss in the Tokyo Dome? I don't know what to make of it so far. I think that this is a good look for him. He showed up in the preliminary matches the day before his New Japan Cup match, and he debuted with kind of the new gear, the all white with the hoodie, and he's now officially bald. It's a good look for him. He still shows like a few touches of his old self with like the wristbands he wears. He still has like the tassels on his pants. His moveset is still kind of the same, and he has the same music, but his demeanor is completely different. Very stoic, very straight face now. His babyface comeback, he does still the same fire-ups, but no more smiling, no more rushing through the matches. Now a lot more slower and methodical. I didn't think that this match with Great Khan was very good. I think their other matches were better. I don't know what it was about this match. The chemistry just didn't seem to be there. Especially the first half of this match. It was very slow and plotting. But it did pick up in the second half when Shota started to come back and he did introduce his new finisher, which he's calling the second chapter. It's like a Northern Lights bomb he does. And it looks good. I do think there's still the same criticism that he's got to put a little bit more on these moves. He's got to make them look more emphatic. But I think it's a good start for him. I think the next match he has from this morning was a better showing. This match didn't really do it for me.
Him trying to figure out what his new in-ring kind of persona is.
Yeah, and I think that they're the same. I continue to say there are glimpses of greatness here. You can see like some promise here, but he's still trying to figure it out.
Right.
I do think that this is just like him trying to figure out the right balance. I still think that outright heel turn is coming. I don't think he's going to stay babyface. Got Tetsuya Naito taking on Jeff Cobb in the quarterfinals. This was funny because it was right after the rumors came of Jeff Cobb heading to WWE. That was the big talk online coming into this. They even mentioned it on commentary. And so, of course, you would think, all right, Naito's just going to beat him because he's leaving anyway. Nope. Jeff Cobb beat Naito and moved on to the next round. This was a good match for what it was. Jeff Cobb is Jeff Cobb. He's going to throw you around. He's going to beat you down. And afterwards, this was the main event of that show. Afterwards, he got on the mic and was like, oh, that didn't go how you guys thought, huh? I thought I was leaving and all this other stuff. He's getting his shit off. He mocked the LIJ guys and did instead like a roll call of the United Empire guys to end the show. Very funny stuff. Great way to end the show. I still am not sure what to make of this Jeff Cobb stuff. In some of the talks we saw, there was a report that AEW offered him a contract multiple times, and he did not want to come to America to go to AEW. I don't know. I could see him going to WWE. It doesn't seem like this is finite yet.
No.
don't know why this leaked so early if it's not finite.
Like, it feels like it leaked way too early for anything. Like, oh, he's already on the internal roster or stuff. It's like, wait, how did it? He's in a tournament right now. Why are we even finding out about this? I mean, not really surprising. I think Jeff Cobb was always kind of destined to be back on one of these American televisions. Like, I'm not surprised that AEW, offered him contracts, because of course they would. And I'm not surprised at all if he took a contract in WWE, because that's a lot of money over there, and he deserves to get some contract like that at this point.
Yeah. But yeah, he did pick up the win. He's going to move on to face the winner of the match that I'll get into in a few. Drilla Maloney moved on to face TJP. This was a strong match for what it was. Again, Drilla Maloney has been fire. His finisher, the Drilla Killer, looks fire. He also hits the gore like Rhino does. This has been a great run for Drilla. I don't know how much more I can put on it, but it's been really fun to watch him in this tournament. He picked up the win over TJP, and he went on to face Shingo Takagi in the next round. Shingo versus Bo No Leg was exactly what you would think it is. It's exactly what this is advertised as. Two big men slapping each other very hard, throwing each other around. Bolden Oleg, again, very fun guy to watch, but Shingo is still Shingo. Shingo beat him with the Burning Dragon. He does, it's like the Burning Hammer variation that he does. But that was a very fun match. That's a match I would recommend if you have not watched any of the tournament matches so far. That one is a very fun one.
Shingo, he's the guy. Of course, he would do this. And Bolton Oleg's, I think, with this Jeff Cobb talk and what could be in the future, is going to get more prominence and build his thing in New Japan, I think, here. So,
yes. The next round, these are two guys that I picked going into this. I said that Yuya Uemura was my pick to win, but I have a feeling that David Finlay was going to win. And that's pretty much it here. David Finlay faced Yuya in the next round. Yuya threw everything he could at this guy. David Finlay, as usual, as a great heel, is going to put the baby face through the paces, going to give them a chance to have their comeback spots and look good. But in the end, David Finlay did pick up the win. He's going to move on to the next round. He was getting his shit off after this, and it does make me think he's going to go to the finals and win, because he was very much trash talking Goto and saying, I beat you earlier this year in front of your kids, and when I win this tournament, I'm going to do it again and become the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion.
Look at Finlay. That's your pick.
I do think at this point that Finlay is going to win the tournament. But he's going to move on and face the winner of the next matchup. Zack Sabre Jr. took on Tai Chi. Reunion of the Dangerous Techers, tag team that these guys in. Very successful tag team. Very curious to see how these guys were going to work, because we've been waiting to see some kind of interaction with them since they parted ways. This match was very, very good. Zack trying to get him in all the holds. Meanwhile, Tai Chi is hitting him with all of the hard strikes and kicks you can think of. There was a great counter at one point where he does his bit where he rips his pants off and goes for a buzzsaw kick, and Zack Sabre, because he knows him so well, counters it into, I think, like a knee bar. And there were a bunch of spots like this. Tai Chi did lose here to continue the story that he was attempting to prove himself, but Zack, coming after a world title run and the year he's had, eked out a win with a penny predicament at the end. Afterwards, they did embrace. I thought that was a cool moment for everything coming out of their tag run.
Yeah, I mean, Zack Sabre Jr., we kind of expected to get this far in the tournament, especially coming off of just being world champion. And I guess they're telling a lot of stories with the Tai Chi stuff and the War Dogs and the House of Torture, right?
Yes. So semifinals are set now. David Finlay will move on to face Zack Sabre Jr. On the other side of the bracket, Jeff Cobb moved on to face Shota Umino. This match was much better, I feel, than the Great O'Khan match. This felt like more of what they were trying to do to set up Shota coming back. Shota had more of the crowd on his side this time. At the start of this match, that crowd was very much behind Jeff Cobb, but the longer the match went on, you could see that Shota was winning that crowd over. By the end of the match, he was getting a lot of cheers. He was getting a lot of chants for him, which was cool to see. It just shows that the repackaging is working a little bit, but I do think that's kind of fool's gold because I do think he's going to turn heel. There's too many signs here that tells me that that's where, because I mean, even when he won the match in the first round and he threw down the mic afterwards, he had nothing to say afterwards. It just kind of fits with like his demeanor so far.
What they're going with the character.
Yeah, but this was a fun match. He did win with the new finisher. I was wondering if he was going to get Jeff Cobb all the way up for this thing. Very impressive. He does like a Busaiku knee to transition into it. I think it's a great finisher for him. I think it works better than everything else he's been doing. He needed his own thing. I know he was doing a paradigm shift at one point. Well, not the paradigm shift. The elevated one that Mox does.
Yeah.
Why am I drawing a blank
That's
on
the
it?
paradigm shift, ain't it? The other one is the I'm also drawing a blank.
Why am I drawing a blank? It's the elevated one he does that's like higher up. But basically, yeah, it's a paradigm shift. It's the same butterfly DDT thing that Mox does. And then I know he was also doing other people's finishers. This feels like his own thing. Even the way he sets it up with the Busaiku knee. The Death Rider. Why am I stupid? Death Rider.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, it's called the Death Rider. Why? Dumb. But yeah, I think that this fits for him. I think that he worked a lot better here with Jeff Cobb. I think that this worked more for what they were trying to do. When you think about all of this stuff that they were talking about with Jeff Cobb coming into this match, it makes more sense for Shota to beat Jeff Cobb than Naito. Naito doesn't really need that win. And coming out of this,
on the way out, if he's on the way out, like it makes more sense to give it to someone like Shota.
Yes. I did think briefly watching this and the reaction, there's a good chance that Shota could win this tournament. I didn't think about that early. He was not initially one of my picks, but just watching how this match went, there's a good chance that this guy could win. I think that that's an interesting story you could tell of him coming out of Wrestle Kingdom, failing, repackaging himself. And if you want him to turn heel, I think him healing it up against Goto is going to get better reactions.
Coming into it, I didn't know. I mean, but without all the things that you're describing, new look, new demeanor, new thing, this could be what really excels that heel turn.
Yes. But he did pick up the win over Jeff Cobb. In the other quarterfinals match, we got Shingo Takagi taking on Drilla Maloney. Excellent match again. Drilla has been great. The whole story here is because Drilla picked up an upset win over Shingo earlier in this year, is that Shingo was trying to avoid his finisher, the Drilla Killer, and that was it. He was trying to stay away from that move because that move is sold as instant death. And man, these guys put on a fantastic match. One of my favorite matches of the tournament so far. And Shingo picked up the win here. Shingo will be going on to the semifinals to face Shota Umino. So there you have it. Our quarterfinals are set. David Finlay versus Zack Sabre Jr. and Shota Umino taking on Shingo Takagi. That will be tomorrow.
That's a pretty good lineup. You still got Finlay as your pick, but also Shota could possibly, I mean, for storylines, might do it too. That's a pretty good lineup there.
Yeah, I think currently my finals is going to be David Finlay versus Shota Umino. I could see that going either way. Either Shota's going to win here and win the New Japan Cup and then turn heel afterwards, or Finlay's going to beat him, and that's going to send him spiraling further down and when he loses in the finals.
Both great stories to tell.
Yes. Funny enough, in the Yuya Uemura match, I didn't mention this. After Yuya lost, Sonata comes walking down the ring, and they're still trying to sell this idea of how much can you trust Sonata. So he walks past Finlay, and they make eye contact, but he never like says anything to him. He just walks straight past David Finlay, and commentary's like, why would he do that? And then he gets in the ring, he starts to help Yuya up. It looks like, oh, what's going on here? Then he just DDTs him.
That's what's going on.
No, he's still very much a heel. With the way that Yuya beat him early on, I figured this feud is not over. We are going to get another match at some point. We ended this morning's show with the main event of legend Yuji Nagata taking on Hiroki. Sorry. All right, guys.
All good.
Hiroki Goto. Sorry. Yuji Nagata taking on Hiroki Goto for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. This was a great match. These two older guys, man, still got a lot in the tank. Yuji Nagata is 56 years old. Put on a fantastic match here with Goto. Goto, for as much as you could say that this was a spur of the moment thing, they just wanted to give him his moment and, you know, give fans something they've been asking for. The Japanese crowd loves this guy, bro. Attendance has been up with him there. You can see like the morale is up around the shows. When he's in the main event, the crowd seems like they're louder. The crowd goes crazy for this guy when he comes out. At the end of the matches, when he's just like raising the belt and standing out there, they're going nuts for him. The Goto chants are very loud. I did not expect this. I did not expect this to be as successful as it is for New Japan, but it has worked out very well for them. And I think you could have easily come into this match and think, okay, we're doing the older guys, we're doing the, you know, we're going for moments, we're going for nostalgia. But this match was actually very good.
Right. Yeah, I think that Goto he knows what comes along with being the IWGP World Champion, and he knows like the prestige that it had and how long he's had to wait for it. And I think he's just really excelling at the moment. Like he's really become champion. He's really become like the top guy there. And the fans have been, I mean, they've been watching Goto for so long. They've wanted this, but I mean, I guess you just never know with how much time it's been like that. They're really going to be like that. Cause we've seen instances where they've given a longtime competitor the championship and it's different, but this is like, they've wanted this.
They love this guy, man. That crowd loves this guy. Again, put on a great match here. Yuji Nagata still looks great, of course. Japanese legend came over here, did excursion, WCW, IWGP champion, one-time G1 Climax winner, I believe, two-time New Japan Cup winner. Legend. Blue Justice came out, did all the bits. He looked great. He had his son sitting ringside during the match after he lost. He shook his son's hand. They're very much playing up that his son will eventually be a wrestler as well. That's interesting to watch. But yeah, no real surprise here. Goto picked up the win. I do think that the guy that's going to come out of this tournament is going to be a heel because people are not going to root against Goto. You've got to get somebody in there that they can boo. And I do think the person that eventually beats Goto will be a heel as well. And that's why I kind of lean towards you could build up this Shota Umino match later on, and that could be the thing that pushes Shota over the edge as a heel. I don't know. But I do still think David Finlay is going to win this tournament.
I do like also how they're doing the Goto title matches that are not concerning like the huge storylines of like the legends. Like we saw this Nagata match, we saw the Tanahashi match, like matches that have for years Goto's been around. These people have had matches with him, but him as champion, it just feels like a different match. I'm glad that they're going to continue doing stuff like this.
Yes. They've had other legends around this. And that's kind of what makes me think that this is going to lead to something with Shota, because Shota is a member of Hantai. I haven't quite seen Shota around all the other Hantai guys, and Hantai and Chaos have now joined together as this big, massive stable. Haven't seen Shota really hanging out with those guys. Doesn't look like he's in a partying mood, man.
You're not down no more.
No.
Trying to get
So
lone
this
wolf.
could be the thing. I don't know. But I'm wondering, are they going to do another match like this match with Nagata moving forward? Because Kojima was out there. Maybe they're going to do a Kojima match after this. I don't know.
I think we still need the Ishii match. Like I feel like maybe
Yes.
one of the American shows, like the he's advertised for the Windy City Riot, like a show like that, we could get another one.
Yeah, the fact that he's already set for that, I don't think that the winner of the New Japan Cup is going to be Goto, honestly.
How
I
long
think-
would you expect his title reign to last?
I'm not sure. I mean, I just think with the business they're doing with it, and it seems like attendance is up. It seems like morale and everything is up. Maybe they continue to ride this way for a while. I don't know. But I can't imagine they're going to keep him champion for like a year or something like that.
No. But this is doing good. I mean, doing good business with kind of an unexpected thing. I would probably keep the train going.
Yeah. The New Japan Cup hasn't been as good as the G1 was last year, but I think the last 4 or 5 matches it's gotten better and better. The start of the tournament was a little bit wonky. We had the unfortunate situation with night 1, and then some of the House of Torture stuff, the count out wins, wasn't really for me. But I think once we got into like the Graps and we get to the guys that we know that are good at this, it's been hot.
Yeah, and I think all the guys that needed to use this tournament to propel their stories and get more over are doing that. So,
that is all of our New Japan stuff. Again, New Japan Cup will be back tomorrow for the semifinals. We'll get the finals coming up soon. Very excited for possibly David Finlay winning this thing and talking all the trash.
Is New Japan back, as they say, Philip Lindsey?
It's been still very exciting. I mean, man, like watching those reactions to Goto, it's crazy. Like I did not expect this early in this year where everything started. But yeah, Wario saying he could drop the belt at Dominion. I think that makes sense. Dominion is usually built as a big show. Yep. It's usually built at a show where the big changes could happen. So I can see that. I think that makes a lot of sense.
And isn't Dominion usually like in June, right?
Yeah, it's usually during summer.
That's a pretty good run for him too.
Yeah. And then curious to see how that plays into Forbidden Door later this year. I think the idea of like, even if it's Shota, like I think that would be a very risky move to put the belt on Shota, but also the idea of Shota.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely the idea of Shota going into Forbidden Door as champion and the stuff you could potentially do there with him and Mox or one of the Death Rider guys, or even if it's Finlay that beats him, Finlay going into Forbidden Door and the stuff you could do there with the War Dogs in him. Maybe that's the way to finally get to War Dogs versus Bullet Club Gold, Bang Bang Gang. I don't know. I'd be here for that.
Me too. That sounds like a really dope match. I mean, those are some good options, and I think Finlay could do some good work there. So either way, but then also Goto, I think as there's some matches that they could do crossover in AEW that would be great too. So
yeah, I think it could go either way. But there's some exciting developments going into London Forbidden Door. Very curious to see who will be IWGP World Heavyweight Champion.
London, that's gonna be a good show. People are excited already. They're like, "Where's the card?" I'm like, "It's some months away." You know how AEW does it.
Yeah, excited to see what Gabe is going to do on that show. I think that's a big one. He's been talking all of the trash. One of those New Japan Cup shows, he came straight out there and go, Shinny Han Pro Wrestling, fuck WWE, fuck AEW. This is where real wrestling is. I was like, all right, bro, get your shit off.
I love it. Keep the party going. I love that every moment he gets to slander, he slanders.
Nah, you gotta love a guy that's as passionate as that. And again, he's another one. That crowd loves this guy. There's only so long you're gonna be able to keep this guy heel.
Right.
That guy's over, man.
He is super over, and he's getting more and more over. It's gonna be like one of those undeniable Will Ospreay needs to be AEW World Champion type things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all the New Japan talk.
Yep.
Sounds good. Definitely tune in for the show coming up. It sounds like they're doing some good stuff. They got some American shows coming up. New Japan is doing their thing. They don't care about nothing. It's great. Not following along trends. We got one super chat. Arduit says, "Happy Grapsody, y'all. Happy belated to the media man." Appreciate that, Arduit. Between y'all and the new Coheed and Cambria album, my day is going to be a good listen. New Coheed album drop. That's dope.
I didn't know that. That's dope.
I'm gonna definitely check that out. I saw them playing concert last year, and they were still pretty great. So I definitely want to check that out. Appreciate the birthday love from everybody.
All of our super chats.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a few more Humper chats. Got some from Tony P. He says that Raw show was all smoke and mirrors, other than the tag and cage match, and the three-way women's promo. The show was not it. SmackDown was a good within a good, fun but long show with the foreign crowd making it better, and with Credit Boy throwing a couple of Negro bombs.
Yeesh.
Yo,
We all know what it looks like.
Yeah, I think that the longer they do the stuff to build to the women's triple threat, I'm like, man, they got to step it up with the other women's match because they're cooking with this. Man, they've got the layers to their story like we talked about last week. But I thought this promo was very good. The whole time EO being in the background, like, what does this got to do with me? Y'all are arguing, and it very much mirrored the stuff with Bianca when Bianca was in NXT and Rhea came down. Well, sorry, when Charlotte came down to go back and forth with Rhea, and Bianca's in the ring, like, don't forget about me. She even like face palms EO in the same way that Charlotte did to Bianca. So I thought that was a nice touch. But then EO looking around like, no, I'm the champion. Respect me. And then she just like starts hitting both of them. She's like, no, I'm sick of both of y'all. Like, I'm champion. Like, me. Like,
and it's like on the tail ends of that, when this match happens, you know it's gonna be fire. Like three insane women that are gonna go toe to toe. They have interesting stories beyond the stories that they're telling with the match. They have other stuff going on, so it feels like a great thing. The other match is like, okay, Charlotte keeps saying she's better than her. We understand. Like Charlotte is kind of just like being the same character she's always been, and I think that's kind of it's starting to be kind of glaring with everybody else being around her, you know?
Yes. Still not that excited with this build, but I do think the match is going to hit. These two can wrestle very well, but definitely more excited for the three-way. That's one of my favorite matches on this card so far, and I think, like you said, this is going to be a heater.
Yeah, I mean, Charlotte she's had some great WrestleMania matches, so I wouldn't put it past her to go out there and do it. And I think she has a thing to put Tiffany over, even if she doesn't lose a match to her, you know?
Yeah. A-Shock is saying, how should EO's title reign be booked that satisfies the fan?
Mm-hmm.
I hate to break it to you guys. I think EO is going to lose at WrestleMania.
Oh, 1,000%.
I think she's losing. I think that Bianca is going to win. I think Bianca is going to keep her streak going. Mm-hmm. And I would not be surprised if Naomi helps her win this. Either it's going to be there in cahoots, or she's going to reluctantly accept Naomi's help. Something's going to happen here, but I do think Naomi's going to help her retain that belt. I didn't see SmackDown, like I said earlier, but I did see the Jade segment where she's getting interviewed. While it's happening, Liv is walking in, and Liv's like, oh, now you got a lot to say. You've been quiet for weeks. You've been letting them drag my name and act like I attacked you. You never came out and said that you knew it was Naomi. Now you can say you knew it was Naomi. And I thought that was hilarious.
No, but for reals though, they was dragging her name for a long time. They had her up against the wall.
Yeah. Jade basically said she knew it was Naomi that attacked her because she saw her running away. And then when you see the clips of Naomi standing outside the ambulance and she has like this colorful gear with all the smiley faces, I was like, yeah, probably couldn't have missed her running away with all these like big smiley faces all over her jacket and gear.
She's glowing. It's her gimmick.
Yeah, Liv also got the great line in because Jade challenged her to a match and she goes, all right, well, try not to get thrown on a car before then.
Good work, Liv. See, this is, again, what we always wanted. Liv seems so much more energetic and vibrant being in a different feud than with Rhea Ripley.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can see where this is going. Liv is gonna have the match against Jade, and then Naomi's gonna come out there and interfere, keep this going. I'm very happy that the Naomi stuff has gotten over as well as it has. People were very complimentary of Naomi, and this is someone sort of like Ricochet, where people are like, she couldn't cut a promo for some reason, and I thought she killed it. I thought that like all the character work and acting she did was fantastic. So I am glad that that's gone over well. Those segments on YouTube are doing very well. Last time I looked, 1 million views for that. That's a great sign. So yeah, WWE, do more with Naomi if that is the takeaway from this.
She keeps showing them that if she's given the opportunity, not only is she going to kill it, but she's going to bring a bunch of people that are out of. Remember, she had the Royal Rumble moment, and all these people are talking about. I feel like that's how it is. Like people keep it like, oh damn, Naomi's great. She could do all these otherly things and things that are different than the other women. And so if she's presented and given the opportunity, she's going to knock it out of the park. And that's what's been happening here. And it's been so funny that people keep screaming that ever since the TNA thing. It was like, well, Naomi did great over there. Why don't you give her the opportunity to really shine in WWE? And it feels like now she's finally been giving the time.
Yeah. Someone asked us on Ask Grapsody, who is our early pick to win Money in the Bank. I don't know if it's a realistic pick, but for me, I think it should be Naomi.
That's pretty good. Yeah. After this, especially killing it like this, she definitely deserves the opportunity.
Yeah, and I think her as a heel, what she could do with the briefcase, you could do a lot of teasing with potentially Bianca as champion coming out of WrestleMania. That's where I would go with it.
I don't know why this Naomi thing had me think about that BET list from this week that people were very upset about. But again, I'll say it again as somebody who makes lists. Making lists are hard. And trying to make 15, and there's been 1 million great black wrestlers at this point, is a hard task to go by, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, we got that list this week, which I don't know, man. So that ranking was interesting. I applaud the effort, but just some things on there, I was like, I don't know, man. Like Devon being ranked that high, Devon over Big E and Shelton Benjamin is kind of wild. I don't know about all that. I understand when you talk about accolades, one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time, what the Dudleys were, but like over Big E, over Shelton. Shelton is, when you talk about black wrestlers and just like the impact he had at that time period, Money in the Bank and all the stuff he was in, he didn't win those matches, but you remember his spots the most from it. You remember his match with Shawn Michaels on TV, and just like, nah, man, I can't put Devon over Shelton, dog. That's crazy.
I think for me, I have to automatically put if you're a world champion. Like if you're a world champion, you're automatically top 10 to me, just because of like how many have there been. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you have to include Truth because the NWA thing is like, that's so like nobody has even done it since, like there's so many things like that you have to include, and I don't think they factored those things in, which I don't know how the creative process was to put this list together. But, you know, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it in our group chat, and that's why I said if you're going to say top 15 black wrestlers and, like, what Jay Lethal meant to Ring of Honor and, like, his time as champion, like, how he carried that brand, no, man. Jay Lethal is one of those guys I think should be in top 15 of black wrestlers of all time. You know, of course, Too Cold Scorpio was not on this list, which is crazy.
Don't get me started.
I've seen some people in our chat already say like Bobo Brazil, another one should be.
Yeah, there's like Bobo, Ernie Ladd, a couple of those guys that were omitted. But like to me, Too Cold Scorpio, like beyond you can talk and do everything. Like this guy changed the world, innovator, like a life changer beyond being a black wrestler. And for him to not be included is like, I'm offended personally, but that's just me. You know, I love Scorpio.
Yes.
Was Jazz on the list? Who was on the list? Well, I forgot what the list was already.
I don't have the list in front of me, unfortunately. Yeah, I can pull it up.
This might be, they're like, of course you guys will say this, but like, I feel at this point with what he's done, that Swerve Strickland, I would have put him up there, but that's just me. I don't know.
We know our guy likes lists.
Don't put me in this.
No, I think that's going to be, for some people, a controversial take because just like it feels like recency bias. But
I'm talking about everything, you know.
But when you look at what he's accomplished before WWE, the Defy stuff, Lucha Underground, he was a world champion before he came to WWE, and then getting there and going on AEW, the tag run with Keith Lee, being the first ever black AEW World Champion, then like being the first black wrestler to rank as high as he did on the PWI in 20 years. No, I think there's a very strong argument for Swerve to be in the top 50.
Second black wrestler behind Dwayne to ever headline a stadium show. Like, if you look at his resume is beating a lot of people on the list currently.
Yeah. So now that I have the list up, I'm going to go through reverse order from 15 to 1. Jazz is at 15.
Okay.
14 is Shelton Benjamin. Naomi is in 13. Jacqueline is at 12. Biggie at 11. Number 10, Devon Dudley. Number 9, Bianca Belair. Number 8, Bobby Lashley. Number 7, Ron Simmons / Farouk. Number 6, Junkyard Dog. Number 5, Sasha / Mercedes Moné. Number 4, Mark Henry. Number 3, Kofi Kingston. Number 2, The Rock. And number 1, Booker T.
I kind of forgot about the top the whole time we were talking about this. They put Booker T over The Rock.
So I didn't even think about it now when you think of like what I said earlier with Ring of Honor and what Jay Lethal meant to Ring of Honor. You got to start having conversations about Athena being in top 15 as well. Facts. And she is the longest reigning champion in the history of Ring of Honor.
Any division, not man or woman. Like, she's the one.
You got to have conversations about Athena eventually. But I do agree with you. Swerve should be in the top 15. Jay Lethal for sure should be in there. I think that for what Ron Simmons means and like him being first world champion of a major promotion, he should have been higher.
Yeah. Like, you don't get the rest of these guys without Ron Simmons. Like, that's like, there's kind of things like that, you know?
I don't disagree with Kofi being in the top 3. I think what Kofi Mania meant, him having the WrestleMania moment he had, Grand Slam champion, still I think to this day, longest reigning tag champion by himself. So yeah, I agree. Top 3. I've been saying for the longest that Kofi is in the conversation for one of the greatest of all time. I don't care what nobody says, he is.
Kofi Mania is my favorite live moment ever, like far and away. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, of course. If they would have said Kofi was number 1, I was like, yeah, I fucking cried at WrestleMania 35. So yeah, it's great.
The first thing that got us talking about this list in our group chat was Booker T being number 1. Now, Booker T is an all-time great. I know he
100% facts.
I know that he's polarizing with people because of the takes online and some of the other stuff. Some of the stuff he said, I'm not the biggest fan of. Some of these takes, I'm like, Book, I love you as a wrestler. Stop doing this. But he's still like, don't get Book fucked up, man. Like two-time Hall of Famer for a reason. One half of one of the greatest tag teams of all time with Harlem Heat. 10-time tag team champions with his brother, then also 6-time world champion. There ain't a lot of black wrestlers that have been world champion 6 times.
What? There ain't even people that have been champion once, and he did it 6 times in a promotion that was black people didn't excel very much in. Like, he's the black guy of WCW. When you think back, you're like, oh yeah, Booker T was the guy. Like, he started to become the guy. Harlem Heat has such a big thing. And then he went to WWE and had a second career and changed the game. King Booker, like, come on. Yeah. When they talk crazy about Booker, I'm like, wait a second, let's relax though.
You can make an argument out of all the top guys that came from WCW that went to WWE. He had the most successful run after WCW. Right. And I don't even think that it's a hard argument to make when you consider like the other guys, Goldberg, and how underwhelming his initial run with WWE was. And like they brought in NWO a lot later than they probably should have. I think Booker coming in straight away.
Been consistently there the whole time, essentially.
Yeah, straight away coming in, having a match with The Rock at SummerSlam. 2 of the first black wrestlers to main event a major pay-per-view.
They debuted him against Stone Cold. Like, he came and beat up Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, Booker T be talking crazy and some podcast things, and recently, yeah, but like his resume is
all time great. All time great. And I think we would be talking about it a little bit different if they had actually given him the win over Triple H and everything.
Right.
That should have happened, but he's still an all time great. With all of that said, there's
being
no way in the world you can rank this guy above The Rock. You can't. You can't do that.
You can't put anybody over Dwayne at this point. I think that for his legacy is everything that he's done. If you take away the last 2 years, I'd be like, you can't. But like adding in the last 2 years, you really can't even touch this guy. Like Meltzer said, like The Rock is number one, and then everybody else, number two is way down. Like The Rock is just, you can't even honestly compare him to anyone else. It's like number one's The Rock, and then the rest of the people is how it goes.
Yes, Rock should be number one on this list. Like when we're talking about the most recognizable wrestler in the world, it's The Rock. Like the impact he's had on wrestling,
in the world, not just like wrestling people, like in the world, people are like, that's Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Yeah. Well, when we talk about the impact he's had on wrestling, the impact he's had on pop culture, bro, when I was watching New Japan, English commentary said latest SmackDown. We say latest SmackDown because of this guy. He created terms that are part of not just wrestling vocabulary, just vocabulary, period. SmackDown is in the dictionary. The name of one of their shows is SmackDown. Like
Phil started this show by saying, "Oh, I didn't catch all of SmackDown, this term that The Rock created." Like, how could you put anybody? We watch a show that this fool said a word and that became a show.
Yeah. No, man. The Rock should be number one, bro.
Different.
Like, multiple time world champion, of course, but also like what The Rock versus Austin meant. Like, that was like one of the biggest feuds and like what that did for the business. Multiple time WrestleMania main eventer. Just main evented WrestleMania last year. No, man. Rock should be number one.
He was already the one, and then he came back and really cemented himself. Like, he's still doing it. We just watched him in the biggest moment, one of the top 5 biggest moments in WWE history with John Cena's heel turn. He was there. He's still doing it. Like, it's so hard to place anybody over what he's done. His resume is undeniable. The biggest actor in the fucking world. Just way different.
No,
And we can even take you don't even have to have the Hollywood bull. You could just include the wrestling shit. And he still was headlining WrestleMania when black people weren't even on the show. He was the guy. When you ask people about the Attitude Era, they say either Austin or The Rock. It's always The Rock, The Rock, The Rock. All the black kids are like, The Rock changed my life. All the rappers are like The Rock. Like, it's just different.
Yeah. And it's funny when you know that Booker for a while had to get around accusations of him being a low rate Rock. I mean, at one point he had like the pump and people were comparing him to him. He did the bookend and people were comparing it. Of course, Booker says in his book, he started doing the bookend first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But nah, man, like when you talk about like not just a star, a mega star, this guy represented for the business, like just how big he was at his peak, man. Nah.
Just that, like, if we're talking about just wrestling, like, Terry's terrible, but like what happened in that match, and to be able to, one, get that kind of match out of Terry, but to know that you guys are going to switch roles and to embrace that so well, and just like, it's a feat, dog. Like, you don't understand, like, The Rock, dog.
Yeah. And that's another part, like just how he transcended his era. Like the Attitude Era is one thing, but to be able to come and have that match, like you said, with Hogan, and then to after that be able to come back and have the match with Cena, and then be a part of this stuff with Cody, and the biggest match that this company and fans have been chasing for 5 years is Rock versus Roman. Right. Nah, man. Rock is on a different level, dog.
Sorry. Booker T's been back a bunch of times. He's still kind of like, he's had a match probably within the last year, and he's all these things. He does some great work. Reality wrestling, like we said, deserves to be top 5 on this list, but number 1 over The Rock, you just can't. That's just,
no way. And like, man, Booker deserves all his flowers.
Yeah,
he does. But over The Rock, I don't know about that.
Dwayne, but that's not a knock against anybody. This guy, it's the Rock, dude.
Yeah.
And you people, please stop with he was his whole time being Samoa in WWE. He never embraced his bro. Shut up,
Bro.
please.
This guy was in a video with Wyclef screaming his catchphrase, bro. This guy, his song was played at the Source Awards at one point, the Vibe Award. He can't get more blacker than that.
You can talk all you want about what WWE did in embracing the Samoan heritage. When they pulled his identification out, it said Dwayne Johnson, and that's a black ass name.
The blackest name possible. His dad, Soul Man Rocky Johnson, bro. This guy is black, and I get it. They did try to sell him as being racially ambiguous for a long time, but I don't think that was solely his choice. That seemed like WWE did that thing to make him marketable, and I can't put that all against him. He has been such a fixture in the culture, though. You can't do that, bro. Like this guy that just come out. we didn't just watch this guy come out in New Orleans to block his hot to then try to excommunicate this guy from the culture, man. Come on now.
And then also we've been talking about this controversy and what Travis did. He's out there with Travis for a reason, you know,
bro. He just went out there and whipped a white man in front of thousands of people with Travis standing around waving sage around. You don't get much more black than that.
Y'all not seeing this in a cut off Versace tank. Y'all are not seeing
bro. This guy at his peak was like, nah, I want to look flashy. I want to look good. He had the Rolexes on, the Versace shirts, the gold chains. Nah, dog, I'm not gonna let y'all talk crazy on the rock. Come on now. Bro,
he whipped a white man. Listen,
bro, and I mean, this is a great point as well that Brandon is saying, bro. The thing that initially started his heel turn, that started this meteoric rise, was him joining the Nation of Domination.
Yeah, the thing that kicked off the thing that kicked off The Rock was him joining the Black group in WWE.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're not going to talk crazy on The Rock's name, man. I do think sometimes people want to shy away and go, "Why? He's Samoan. He's this." Nah, dog. Nah, that guy's of the culture. We're not going to do that to The Rock.
His name is Dwayne. He can't get away. Can't get away from being called Dwayne. No, I'm not black. Your name is black, dog. You're not getting away from it. Dwayne Johnson is your name, dog. That's such a black name. But yeah, I mean, kudos to the person to put a big platform. Like, you're taking a chance, being like, "Here's the greatest." You know what I mean? Like, I just like that BT as a black platform is getting involved in things like that. Wrestling. They've sent shout outs to like Naomi and Bianca before, so this is cool.
Yeah, it was cool to see wrestling represented here. Can't say I agree with the list, but it's lists. Lists are created for discourse. If you guys don't know,
is before we get off this, Bianca was top 10. Is Bianca top 10 already?
I think so. Just off what we said about The Rock being one of the first black women to main event WrestleMania. That's
I forgot about that. Yeah, I'm sorry for even asking. I was at that main event. It was so good.
Yeah, longest reigning women's champion in the history of the company as well. Nah, I think Bianca's top.
Two black ones. See, I understand that because I deal in those type of accolades. Like, two black women main event at WrestleMania. It's hard to like put people over that. You know what I mean? Like, that's huge. Yeah. And that match, oh my God, that match was so fucking good. I went to that match and then I got to the airport and I was like, I didn't have an article due for PW. I was like, but I have to write about this match. Like, it was crazy. I was like, I have to. Like, that's how monumental that match was.
Yeah, I mean, now also when you add what we were saying with The Rock, I know we put over just how influential he was, but the first for this guy as a black wrestler, they weren't putting a lot of black wrestlers in those kind of feuds, main storylines, and WrestleMania main events. First black Royal Rumble winner, I believe, until Bianca won it years later. Yeah, and nah, man,
everything.
Rock is still The Rock. Yeah, Rock is still The Rock. I think he's still up. Before Swerve, he was the highest ranked black wrestler on the PWI.
Yep.
I'm surprised he never was ranked at number 1.
Yeah, there was. What year could he have been? I don't know. He was always against some tough ass competition because when they like Kenta Kobashi was cooking when he was, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he had to deal with shit like that.
Yeah. But yeah, of course, I'm sure that guy that wrote that list, I don't know if he's on social media. I'm sure he's been looking around like, why? That's why y'all yelling at me.
Y'all set me up.
Y'all set me up. They jumped me.
Help.
They jumped me, dog.
That on anybody. He probably was just like, let me put my nice little article on. This should be great. Wrestling fans are cool. And they Mark Henry said, hey, I need to talk to the person who made this list. Like, you got Mark Henry after you.
Yeah, I was laughing at that one Mark Henry tweet where he was like, "What Fightful got me fucked up?" And I was like, "Well, Fightful, no, why you mad at Fightful?"
Hold on, leave us out of this. What Mark mad about? He seems very upset, and he was high too. I'm like, damn, why are you mad, dude? You're ranked really high in this.
Yeah,
he's like, I need to know about who the specifics. Like, he wants to know like everything, and I'm not mad at you, Mark. I'm with you.
We got some more Humper chats to get into. Let's see, got a handful. Matter of fact, before I hit you with the rest of our Humper chats, I am going to hit you guys with a word from our sponsors.
Yes. BetOnline.ag is the official betting partner of Fightful. 100% of the time when you get the odds from Fightful, they are coming from BetOnline.ag. And it's not just wrestling, it's not just MMA and boxing. It's football, it's basketball, baseball, hockey. They have the earliest lines. You can bet big with the high limits and rebet functionality. They have the fastest payouts with winnings paid in minutes and the industry's best bonuses on every qualifying deposit. They've been trusted for 25 plus years. It's not some fly-by-night company. BetOnline AG has been there. They've done that. In addition, they're trusted by millions. They've got VIP rewards programs and a ton of popular games. BetOnline.ag, that's where I go to make my bets. That's where I suggest you go to, my friends. Please just bet what you can and bet responsibly.
As always, please bet what you can, bet responsibly, but for all your sports betting needs, including pro wrestling, BetOnline.ag is the place to go.
I want to hear about some of you guys hitting on some of these wrestling bets. So if you have bet some stuff, definitely tell us what you did. Very cool.
So we have some more Humper chats. I've got some from Tony P. Tony P says, something more amazing happened this week. Something that's been a long time coming, but with him giving 2 starter matches this year 5-star, they finally broke and gave an American company its first 5-star women's match in Tony Morai. That does not bode well for some people that were arguing against that match being the main event, and the actual main event we got, maybe should just give the women the main event. That's cool.
Yeah, it's every single day it becomes more and more apparent that it's like, damn, the responses that it should have been, the match we saw that it should have been, and now they're getting this. We know it was a great match, confirmed should have been. It's like, damn, you guys really should have just made this match into it. Yeah, Meltzer put out his newsletter this week, and there was 3 5-star matches in a row. It's great.
Yeah, Meltz is trying to duck them allegations that he doesn't like women's wrestling. No, he does. He just has a specific taste. But yeah, I did see. I think it was Lyric that said this isn't a great sign with like progression for women in some ways. It's a double-edged sword because this is by far the best thing they've ever done with the women in AEW. But with that said, with as good as this storyline has been and everything, if this match couldn't main event, it kind of feels like, well, when is it ever going to happen?
Yeah, that's a point Denise and I talked about on the post show. It's like, this is like, people are calling this the greatest AEW story that ever happened, man or woman, across this whole promotion. If they've done that much work and they still can't be in the main event of the pay-per-view, it's not really the greatest sign if you're a
No.
women's wrestler there, knowing that like you can work the hardest you ever work and it's still not going to be good enough considered to some people. It's probably pretty disheartening.
Yes, I can see people being very disheartened with that, especially with just how well received the storyline was, how well received the finish of the match was, and Dave giving it the 5-star. Yeah, this probably should have just been the main event. Not even probably. It should have been the main event.
Like we checked off all the boxes, even the boxes you guys like with the 5 stars and all the praise. We checked all those boxes and it still wasn't good enough. That'd be pretty unfortunate.
But with that said, what an accomplishment for these women, the creative that put it together.
Well deserved.
Well deserved for them. AEW Revolution did come to LA last week. Before we get into the review, I was thinking about this while the show was going on because what a pay-per-view. I think it's going to go down as one of the all-time great AEW pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. Out of the main 4, would you consider Revolution the most consistent? I think I would.
Yeah, as someone who went to almost every Double or Nothing and was in those crowds and have been to I've been to Revolution in Florida and Cali a couple times. Like I've been to some different Revolutions, and every single time there's like an extra added effort on the matches on something. I would agree with you. I think Revolution is probably the most consistent. You're going to get some of the best matches you ever seen on show.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing is sometimes, as somebody who's been to a lot of them, the crowds usually aren't the best. And some of the buildups we've seen coming into Revolution or coming into Double or Nothing haven't been that great.
Yeah, Double or Nothing is very hit or miss for me. I think the only one that has the argument of being as consistent is probably All Out.
Yeah. Yes.
Usually the All Out shows are pretty good. The only one that's probably, I wouldn't say my least favorite, but it's not as good as the one during the pandemic that's in Jacksonville.
Oh yeah.
That one
was
all right.
Pandemic.
But that's partially the pandemic. But it's really between All Out and Revolution. And I would say that I would give Revolution an edge right now. The first one was here in Chicago. That was at Wintrust. That was the one Mox came in from outside. That's the one we beat Jericho for the championship. I believe that's the same show where we got the Bucks versus Hangman and Kenny. That's on that same card.
A lot of people were saying for a couple of years that was the best AEW match ever before like the last year or two.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, Revolution is going to give us like one of those all-time great pay-per-view matches because, I mean, we've talked about how much we loved the Iron Man match that was on the card in 2014.
So
2024. Then like 2023 was also solid. I'm trying to think what like my least favorite Revolution may be.
I'm thinking of a bunch of dope moments because at the one where Swerve debuted, they had the Bryan and Mox match, and that's where Regal came down. Like there's been a bunch of great moments. Chris Jericho had a great match against Eddie Kingston at one of these. Like I'm like, no, Revolution is kind of like the show.
Yeah, the dog collar match, CM Punk and
Dog
JF.
collar.
That's Revolution as well.
Yes.
Damn,
I think that's when I made Punk cry, right? I've had 2 good Revolution moments myself. I made Punk cry after that one, and then the next year was MJF. Can I not even don't even acknowledge MJF? And I'm like, boo! Like both of those were off of Revolution. Revolution is my favorite AEW show. You're right.
Yeah, I think just when I think about it, it's probably the most consistent in my opinion. I mean, last year's Revolution was incredible in Greensboro with the ending and Sting and just how good that show was all around. Yeah, it might be, to me, Revolution might be the most consistent, man. That, like I said, the only thing that comes close is probably All Out. But
yeah, it's been crazy to see the response, Phil, because I was there on Sunday, and like, I guess when you're in it, like it was amazing. I had a great time, but like I came out of it and a lot of people are like, that's the best AEW show ever. That's the best AEW show ever. And I was like, yeah, it was awesome. I guess I was like still kind of feeling it, but then like going back and seeing how people receive the matches, and watching some of the highlights again, I'm like, damn, I really was at something special.
Yeah. I've been saying for years up to this point, to me, All Out 2021 is the best AEW pay-per-view of all time. This one might have topped it, like just from top to bottom, just how good the matches were.
Yeah.
We'll get into the main event.
That ending, this definitely contrasts in endings with that All Out show in this one, but talk about it.
We'll get into it. But yeah, AEW Revolution took place at Crypto.com Arena. Incredible show, I think. I keep wanting to say from start to finish.
You can't say that though.
struggled over the finish line with it, but still a very, very good show overall. I mean, even the fact that when they put up the match ratings from Melter and there were 3 5-star matches in a row, that's kind of crazy.
Unbelievable. Like, I think I've been to a show where there's a 5-star match, but there's always just one. It's like a rare occasion. To be at a show where 3 happened back to back is unbelievable, and all well earned too.
Yeah. Starting off with the pre-show, we got Commander and Hologram taking on Lee Johnson and Blake Christensen. Pretty fun for what it was. Got the big 8-man match with Garcia teaming up with Undisputed Kingdom to take on Shea Taylor Promotions. Another one fun. I loved Garcia getting a win and then rolling out a ring and standing on a barricade and celebrating, and the Undisputed Kingdom guys were looking at him like, the fuck is this guy doing?
Big celebration, but also, Danny, we want that belt.
Yeah. We also got Big Boom, AJ, and the Conglomeration taking on Johnny TV and MXM Collection.
Okay, so Phil, on TV, and I've been in a crowd now, I still don't know if they're saying boo or boom. Like, I don't know if they're mad about it or if they're happy about it.
No, these guys are very popular. I don't know if that justifies doing as much with them, but who am I? I'm not running a wrestling company. These guys are very popular, though, clearly. Rizzler coming out with
the
Orange
Rizzler
Cassidy.
he different. Like, you got to put him number 1. He's really over.
You got to rank him number 1.
You got to put him over everybody else. He different.
Yeah, but I mean, this was what it was. It was fun for what it was. It was fun for like a pre-show match. I think the people that I've seen complain about it, if it was on the main card, I would get the complaint. But
same.
It's a pre-show match. It's what it is to get people hyped for the start of the show.
People are legit still coming into the building while this is happening. Like, it's fine. Yes. People are getting their merch and their food. Like, it's okay.
Yes. Grapple Geekery, you got us again, because when we previewed the show, you were like, at least there's no Jericho match on this card, and a Jericho match
it appeared out of nowhere. As soon as it happened, I said, "This is Grapple Geekery's fault." There was no match. And then he was like, "Hey, what do you guys think about the Jericho stuff?" And we were like, "What?" And then they made a match. So again, this is all your fault.
Yeah, got us Grapple Geekery. They did put a Jericho match on this card, which didn't end up being a match. Jericho versus Gravity was announced, but it turned out to be a beatdown segment, which, I mean, it worked for what it was. I'm not sure if you needed to put this here, but it is what it is. I think it did what it needed to do. It was a strong angle to get people, to get heat on Jericho, and then to get more interest in the Bandito match later on.
And apparently, I don't know. The thing is that in Mexico, wrestling is real to a lot of people, and sometimes the wrestlers don't tell their family that it's a work. And apparently, their family thought all this was real. Like Chris Jericho pulling off their reactions were real. They're like, "Oh shit, this guy's pulling off of our kid's mask. Like, something needs to happen." So real reactions there, because in Mexico, Lucha Libre is real.
Nah, this gringo's wilding, man. Get this guy out of here.
Seriously, what's this guy doing? Does he know what these represent in Mexico? He's just pulling off the mask. Kill him.
Yeah, so yeah, this Gravity came out, Jericho came out, beat him down, took his mask off. Bandito came out to help him. Then, because of course, if you don't know, this was put over multiple times by commentary. Gravity is Bandito's brother. So their family was sitting ringside. They came in the ring and like tried to tried to hover over him. They put a towel over his head to cover his face and everything. I think it got heat on Jericho. We got a good promo this week on Dynamite out of it, so it worked for what it was.
I'm still laughing. That is really funny. But yeah, the family was like, "We're gonna kill Chris Jericho because he's tripping."
Yes. Started hot though. Started with Hangman Adam Page taking on MJF, and man, what a match! These two guys went at it. This was incredible. Some of these spots in this match, I was like, that looks very, very violent. And this is on a match where we've seen people go through like tables and all this other stuff. And bro, there was stuff in this match where I was like, you sure? That jumping pile driver on Hangman onto that chair outside the ring, I was like, I don't know that you needed to do that. Is he okay?
Yeah, I'm like, you did a running tombstone on a chair on the outside? What is happening? But the most violent move of this match, Philip Lindsey, that angel wings that
bro
Hangman hit Max with, I yelled in the arena. I was like, oh no, wait, hold on a minute. Never so many angels wings from Chris Daniels for the last 20 years. Never seen one as violent as that.
The most violent looking angel wings we've ever seen. And it fit with the storyline that Hangman was really sorry for what happened. And he has been using the angel wings, but you could see the anger in him of how dare you mock my mentor. I had to put him out of his misery and retire him, but nah. Don't ever fix your lips to talk crazy about Christopher Daniels again.
It was like an exclamation point, like, I've been doing this move as a tribute, but tonight I'm going to do it to kill you and let you know, don't talk crazy about Chris Daniels. This ain't a game.
The way that Max's face hit the mat, I was like, oh my God. It looked horrible. I hope he's okay. That looked very scary.
Anything like that, dog. I was like, oh my God, like out loud to like you just like, wait a second, is Max okay? And then like a bunch of people start texting me like, is Max okay? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like he like limped out of here. It was just like a crazy way to end. But like, I think for the buildup of what this match was, Phil, the last couple of weeks and how intense the promos have been, and we've been saying we need these two guys specifically doing this right here. Great match to do this. Just like we saw violence on this show with like plunder and barbed wire and weapon, but this was just like two guys legit beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, this was our regular reminder that Max is a very good wrestler, and
yes,
I think this is one of my favorite matches I've seen him work in a long time. The way that he worked the arm, the way that he kept trying to get out of there in time to avoid the buckshot lariat, and so it made it feel like the most important move in this match. So when he finally did hit it, it was huge, and I think just how smart this match was worked. Like, I just can't say enough about what these guys did. Hangman is Hangman. Like, Hangman's an incredible wrestler.
These guys did a match of like, let's try to break each other's necks, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's a lot of spots that I was like, hey man, that's a person's neck.
Yeah, and not just avoiding the buckshot, but working his knee so he can spring into it, and then working his arm and shoulder so he couldn't get the move off. And then when he finally did hit it, it was impactful. The dead eye he hit at one point, which I was just like, again, your neck, like.
Be careful out there. I know you really hate this guy, but damn, yeah, there was a bunch of spots like that where I was just like, damn, these guys, like, it feels like hatred. It feels like what they were saying in those promos is really there. Like, Max was like, I got to prove this to you. Like, I was going to set you on fire, so I got to beat your ass. And Hangman's like, you're not really that guy. I'll fuck you up. And that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, Max healing it up, doing that run back and forth, and then thrusting his crotch right into his face. Hilarious stuff. Yeah, I really liked this match, man. I thought the finish was fantastic. It looked very gnarly. Again, yeah. I was looking at it like, I hope Max is okay.
I mean, we haven't heard anything otherwise. It feels like he's okay. I think it was just a gnarly ass bump. What a sick way, like you're saying, though, to like pay tribute to CD and like put a little stamp on, because it's not over. Like, I think they have more to go to, but then they also could put a stamp on it for now, as we kind of saw on Wednesday, which we'll get into.
Yes, Max definitely made the point this week. I'm not done with you. That was great. But yeah, we got after this Mercedes Moné taking on Momo Watanabe. We talked about it on our preview. I knew this match was going to hit because the two wrestlers that are here, Mercedes in there with Joshi wrestlers, always picks up the level.
Beautiful.
Momo is incredible. Momo in this match where the crowd didn't really react to her initially. It was almost like they didn't know who she was. And she was like, okay, let me hit her as hard as possible and let me kick her as hard as I can so y'all know who I am. And you can hear the crowd start chanting her more and more the harder she kicked this woman. And God, some of the potatoes in this match, I was like, oh my God.
100% right on the money, Phil. Like when the match started happening, the entrance and everything, like CEO theme, I know people talk trash. Hey, that shit kind of go when it's like it's loud.
I keep saying, man.
Like CEO, I was like, hey, this is kind of hard though.
I keep saying it not only grew on me. The more I hear it, the more I've seen it in person. I'm like, nah, dog. This. They got one. I'm sorry.
They got one. No, I don't know what you want me to say.
They got one.
I'm like, damn, Mercedes got a spin. No, who wrote that? Listen, but you're right on the money though. When they came out, people were like, they don't really know Momo. They didn't really. It was one of those, we know that she's not going to beat Mercedes, so we don't really know how to feel about it. But Mercedes is so good I've seen a few times in this match where people aren't into it initially, but the way that she builds her matches and gets people back, like she's one of the best at getting people back in the match. But it totally was that. If Momo was like, oh, you guys don't know who I am, so I'm going to kick Mercedes in the mouth, I think. You guys don't know then. And then she kicks her in the mouth and we're all just like, oh, shit, like, she really means business. She doesn't care about this moment and how we feel about her. She's out here to try to win that championship.
Yeah. At one point in the match, we got the dueling chants, which was really cool to see. That's where we got the visual of Leslie Jones screaming Mercedes during the dueling chants. That was cool. The spot on the apron where Mercedes just slams her down and does that sunset power bomb onto the floor below. Ow.
At that moment, well, there was a couple of times in the MJF and Hangman match where I was like, oh, this is that type of thing. The tombstone and the angel's wing. I was like, this show's different. When Mercedes hit that power bomb and it wasn't that much into the match, I was like, oh, we're on a different time here. I think we're about to be doing something crazy. And it just kept building into the way that Mercedes fights from behind, even though like, her persona is, I'm the best, I dominate all these people, I'm the greatest. But a lot of her match time spent is coming from behind, fighting from behind, trying to establish herself, trying to figure out ways to defeat this person that's just overwhelming them, because Momo was just overwhelming her. But the way that Mercedes uses angles and submissions and counters and all these things is different.
Yeah, her timing, her facial expressions, like she's just so good at it. I think when people say like she's better at the heel, I think people think, well, she seems more charismatic. The promos and stuff are better as a heel, but I think the way she works matches as a heel also is why she's better as a heel, because she's so good at getting you to root for the other person in there, and you can see that in this match. You can see that in the Statlander match. She is so good, like you said, of fighting behind, letting someone get as much offense in and selling as much as possible for them. So you actually believe this person can win, and then coming out at the end, doing what she always does, hit the money maker, and then the statement maker afterwards to pick up the win. This match was so good. Love this match.
Beautiful. It got the crowd. At the end of it, the crowd was like, yes, this is that shit. Mercedes is going off. They're going to remember Momo. Really, really good match. Mercedes in LA is on another level too. There's just something about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just Mercedes and like that atmosphere in front of a big crowd.
She loves it.
She just excels, man. And then she's getting booed too.
Yeah.
I've said before, I've never seen a wrestler enjoy getting booed as much as Mercedes does.
Anytime she can really bring it in, anytime she really can heal it up, that's her favorite thing to do. Great match.
Yeah, absolutely love this match. After that, we got Swerve Strickland taking on Ricochet. This match,
great match.
This match was so good. First of all, Swerve, I don't know who this guy was that played the drums during your entrance. Maybe not use that guy again. He's kind of offbeat. I don't know what's going on there.
I didn't really know what was happening, Phil. Like I could barely hear the drums too. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, maybe not use that guy again.
It wasn't really needed.
the discourse around this, the Swerve coming out with the white and the gold trim with the black boots, and he had like the pink hair. People were like, "Oh, they're matching."
It would have been like somebody else's hair. They were trying to say
they're matching. They were not matching, guys. He was doing a Super Boo cosplay. He had his dreads up in a big ponytail like Boo. No, it was him being Super Boo. That's what it was.
Yeah. During the entrance, Phil, when Swerve came out, and he got on. I texted to the group chat. Swerve looks insane. Like he looks like a gazillion dollars. Like, I was like, dog, this guy. We keep saying it, but this is your world champion right here. Like the way that he came down, he does the little pose now with the pyro and shit. I was like, oh, this is different. This is a different level.
Star, bro.
Yeah,
this guy is a star. Just seeing the reaction to him when he came out, the presentation around him, Big Pressure is. It's a big. We talked about how they got one with Big Pressure, bro. The reaction to Big Pressure, the dance and everything, all of it is over. And then, like you said, he comes out. He looks like $1 million. He's jacked. Like he looks great. Like
I was like, dog, this is the guy. It feels like this is the world champion. And we'll talk about the end of the show. He really cemented it. But this match right here, I knew coming into the show that this match was going to be one of those ones, but I didn't expect it how they worked it, because like Ricochet said, I don't care about none of that shit y'all talking about with Swerve. I'm the guy. And he did so many I'm the guy moments in this match. I was blown away.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He really has felt like he's been out to prove something since the Continental Classic. He hit a tear in the middle of that tournament where he got better and better. Once it got to the Dome this year, bro,
it was over. Yeah,
he's been cooking since that match with Zack Sabre Jr. at the Dome.
Yep,
man, this match was fantastic. Some of the transitions in this match, some of the counters,
unreal.
The big table spot outside, crazy looking.
Stop it! Don't do that. Y'all are crazy. I was like, no, don't do this! Don't do this! Ah, they did
it. That table did not give at all, and. Luckily, this is just, experienced wrestlers. The Ricochet knowing to tuck his head in enough, because that looked very scary at one point.
If that was any other wrestler, it could have been bad. But Ricochet is a professional, has been dropped on that place in many times. He knows how to do this. Still so dangerous.
Looked very dangerous, but man, what a spot. That counter he hit on Swerve when Swerve tried to dive out, and he immediately just right over his shoulders. Man,
while he has the robe on too, like
bro, crazy. Yeah, man, Swerve, man. We've said it before, like how impactful he makes the house call look. But he had a house call in this match where I was like, yo, shit looked clean, bro. Clean.
What do they call it in the WWE game?
There's a screenshot, guys, going around of the moves in Creator Wrestler, and apparently you can add a move called the house visit.
The house visit. He hit him with the house visit. Yeah, so funny. The Nana bits in this of him trying to play cat and mouse with the robe at the beginning, and Ricochet keeps catching him. He's like, hey, don't do that. Just really funny stuff. They send Nana out. Nana comes back. They do the big reveal. He stops Ricochet. The way that Swerve gets into, it's funny enough with what he was cosplaying, Super Saiyan mode. Like we first saw it with Brian when Brian tried to hit the Busaiku knee, and when he brushed his shoulders off. I was all Swerve hit his ultimate moment, and now he gets into his matches where he's like, I'm in God mode. Like there's nothing in the world that you could do to defeat me in these next 3 minutes. And he just starts overwhelming him, hitting all this stuff. JML driver. Like there's the moment where it's like Swerve is Swerve and there's nothing you can do to beat him.
Yeah. I thought the storytelling they did with Nana here was very good, because they kept trying to tease that maybe Nana had enough of Swerve and he was going to side with Ricochet. Ricochet, of course, has been wearing a robe. So it was enough here to get fans to think, oh no, maybe Nana could leave Swerve, because in the middle of the match, Swerve accidentally hit him. He got up and left, and he came back. I died laughing, by the way, when he came back and snatched the robe off of top of the turnbuckle. I was dying. And then, of
So
course,
funny.
Ricochet slid out and got the robe back. By the end of the match, Swerve does pick up the win. And just that moment of Swerve kneeling with the robe and giving it back. And the way the crowd reacted to that.
When Nana hit his dance right after handing this robe back to Swerve, we went mental. That was one of the biggest pops of the whole night. Nana hitting his dance right there after that match. I was like, okay, this is something else here.
Great storytelling, man. Them doing the embrace and then him jumping out of the embrace and doing his dance, and then Swerve just falls on the floor because he was holding him up. Hilarious. That was really good.
Great stuff. Great work from Ricochet, I think, in this entire match, in this entire feud, just like playing a great heel. I thought that his work in this match was tremendous, kind of making Swerve fight from behind. But Swerve has he's such a great wrestler, man. And his offense is so varied that he can like turn into something different. And it felt like he was working a different match in this with Ricochet to try to throw him off guard, and just ended up getting the better of him. Just tremendous match from both guys. Should have been 5 stars, but whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, should have been 5 mics. Great match, man. After that, we got Kazuchika Okada taking on Brody King. Another match where I was like, "Oh, this is very violent." If you look at Okada's entrance, man, they got it. Like the way that they've made the changes to it with the lasers and everything, the camera angle of the camera going around him with his arms spread. It looked awesome on TV, made him feel like a big star. And then, of course, he still has the money raining from the sky afterwards. Just feels like a massive star.
Still Okada. They be trying to talk trash. Okada, what is he doing now? When this man comes out for a big match, it's still the vibes.
Still, big aura. When he wrestles on these cards, he mostly delivers. I thought that this match made Brody King feel like a guy that can be a contender for a big singles title eventually. He put Okada through the ringer, and you saw that after the match because he was battered and bruised when he came out of this. His chest was all bruised. He had that big gash on his arm that looked nasty. It was bleeding. I don't know what he cut himself on, but he looked like he had definitely been in a fight after he got out of his match.
You guys, these chops are as loud as they sound on TV. That's how they are in the arena. Like they're echoing through the arena. Like you could just feel the thud every time Brody does it. There's extra incentive because Brody's from California. He got people in the crowd. There's friends, family, and friends. There's posters. Like he felt like, I'm coming to win this match. I'm coming to kill this guy. I'm going to have Okada thinking this is a G1 tournament from 2015. Like he was like, I'm tearing this fool apart. But like, Okada just gets into kind of like Swerve God mode where there's nothing you could do. You could bring a house, the kitchen sink, hit this guy with the car. When he's ready to end the match, he's ready to end the match. When he gets into the I'm going to hit my precise drop kick, exactly the point where I want to, and there's nothing you can do about it, Okada's a different level. And for what develops in the rest of the show and what it feels like we're leading to later in this year, there's some exciting stuff happening, man.
Yeah. This was I thought that this was a great showing for Brody. Like I said, this made him feel like a guy that can eventually challenge for one of the singles titles this year. And not for nothing, I think his presentation so far when he comes out with the big jacket and like the shiesty, he looks great.
Badass.
Not one of the best matches on this card, but that's because this card was full of so many bangers. But I did enjoy this match.
Yeah, I thought that for what they did, the amount of time that they had, and just kind of going for it, was another just like fight. It wasn't the best match on the card because we had some of the best matches we've seen on this card.
Yeah, and I think, the best thing
about
it
over
is,
Brody, though. It worked.
Yeah, I think the best thing about it is we've seen Okada so many times in like the big pay-per-view style match. This felt like a fight, like you said. This felt like Brody definitely bringing him down to his level, and he had to survive Brody King here.
Barely.
Yeah. We had the Hurt Syndicate taking on the Outrunners. This match it wasn't really for me. I know what it was supposed to get across. I got more of a kick out of MVP throughout this thing. On the outside talking trash. He was hilarious. When the Outrunners kept getting their big spots up and they were, playing up to the crowd in the ring, and the Hurt Syndicate guys were outside, and MVP was like, look at them. They're shining on you. You gonna let them get away with it? Get in there.
They're shining on you. Yeah, this is, as you guys remember from our little preview from last week, Phil and I were both like, this is going to be a 3-minute squash match, and that should be out of there. So, like, after 3 minutes, Phil, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, this isn't what I expected it to be. And, like, the Outrunners were, like, getting some offense in, and they were letting it breathe. I was like, this match is way longer than I was expecting it. And kind of like where the energy of the crowd was, it did not do what it needed to do.
No, I don't think it did what it needed to do for the Outrunners, because they didn't come out of this feeling like real contenders. After I finished this match, I felt like I don't need to see these guys challenge for the tag titles again.
That's exactly how I felt too.
If you wanted this to feel like the dominant win over them, I do think Hurt Syndicate looked dominant once they got going, because I get what they were trying to get across early in the match was that the Outrunners are an actual tag team. And Bobby and Shelton don't quite have it together as a tag team. They're just two dominant singles wrestlers on a team. Now, Shelton outside basically looking like he was trying to call the plays for this. Again, all of those are nice touches, but I don't think that it really got across as well as they wanted it to.
Right. Like they were trying to tell stories, but the story should have been they go in there and drag these guys and we move on.
Her Syndicate won here. Not much of a surprise, but I don't.
I forgot the best part of this match was us chanting "We hurt people." Like I didn't even care about the match, honestly. After the thing came on and we're all saying "We hurt people," I was like, "Oh, this is lit."
Bro, that video of Denise singing "We Hurt People" had me in tears. Because first of all, this is just how we're friends. Because I was sitting laughing at it, and then when I turned the audio on and I could hear you laughing in the background, I was like, "Yeah."
Look, some things are super funny to Phil and I that probably wouldn't be funny to other people, but that's how it goes.
Yeah,
but
really,
that
really
moment is amazing. Like the match is whatever, but being able to, like, the crowd's waiting for it too. Like we know the theme's hitting, we know the part's coming. Like it just feels good, and it's starting to become a thing. I was at the show in Fresno too. It's starting to become a thing when they're not around, where people are just chanting "We hurt people." So that's a good sign.
Yeah, that that is definitely getting over. I think the match should have been shorter. I get what you were trying to do for the Outrunners, but didn't really hit for me.
What's next for Bobby and Shelton?
I don't know. I think you've got to get them in there with some of the bigger tag teams. That's kind of why I'm like, okay, all right. I think you should at some point get back to a rematch with them in Private Party, get them in there with like the Revival, get them in there with like the AEW tag teams so that they feel like a part of this tag division as because right now they just kind of feel like two singles guys with the belts. Yes, and it feels like, of course, Her Syndicate is over, so they should have the belts, but you've got to make them an integral part of this division, and they don't feel like that quite yet.
Like they got to start wrestling the Murder Hawks, Brody and Buddy. Like it has to be like the tag teams that are established here. Put them in there with this, because now it just feels like the Outrunners thing really is sure like, oh, we're just here to kind of do this thing, and it's like, no, you need to like be a part of the division in order for the division to grow.
Listen, man, the only thing that would have made this hit for me in LA if we got that guitar riff, super kick party.
I know.
Listen, bro, that would have went hard, bro.
What the hell? I was going into the show kind of expecting that at some point, and nothing. They weren't there. That was weird. Yeah. Like you don't go to an AEW LA show without the Young Bucks. What the hell?
Yeah. Zeno, I agree. Hounds of Hell makes a lot of sense for a matchup for them. Two big guys that would match up well against them. Of course, Murder Machines, they're lining that one up, of course. That's going to happen eventually. But, they just got to get to it. They got to give them more title defenses. I get what this was supposed to be, but didn't really do it for me.
You got to give them more title defenses because we need to believe that there are people that can beat Shelton and Bobby. Like, it can't feel like they're just going to dominate everybody. So if we see them in there against high-profile people, we start to see some cracks in their tag team, starts to see some things that the next person can beat them with,
Yes. We got Timeless Tony Storm taking on Mariah May and Falls Count Anywhere match, Hollywood ending match. I think that they had a lot of pressure to live up to coming into this match with how good their all-in match was. And then I thought that the match at Grand Slam was good as well. I honestly think this is their best match.
Yeah.
I think with just the way that this match was put together story-wise, I mean, you could get into, it was very violent. It had all of the big hardcore spots, but I think all of this hardcore stuff meant something. It meant something to their story. I think that made the match even better.
Yep. I think people get, because it gets kind of convoluted with how a lot of, sometimes not even feuds, just like a match thing will end with like a street fight type of thing. It's kind of way that you established it. But in this story, this needed to be a bloodbath. They called this the Hollywood ending. The story that they told coming into this, we needed it to be violent, and it was violent. Phil, they had glass, they had tables, they had Mariah's tried to hit her with a taser at one point, ended up hitting Luther with the pump kick through the table. A lot of blood. There was those moments, Phil, where Tony was like on the outside, like touching her, and she just kept being like, "Oh fuck, oh man, oh yeah." Like there was just so much blood just gushing,
squirting out. It looked
it was
disgusting.
coming out. It was nasty. It was gross. But that's what needed. Like the way that they talked about each other coming into this match. This is what Mariah needed to do. She needed to come in there and do this. And it's also what Tony needed to do, to come in there and do this. Yeah, like you said, Phil, so much pressure was on this match. There were still people before the show that we're talking to being like, that still be the main event. Like every time I would talk to somebody, that was the theme of like, they should have had this women match as the main event. And so for them to come and have this insane match where it turned into a Taipei death match at one point. They both have their fists taped up with glass on the end. They're trying to punch each other. They're just trying to murder each other the whole time. I think it totally blew away the expectation. It was even better than I could have expected it have been, just like knowing that those women saw the pressure and overcame it.
Yeah. Love the story of going into the all-in match. Tony was still distraught after Mariah betrayed her. So she was, kind of not herself going into that match. And she had to go away and find herself. And so when she came back for the Grand Slam match, she beat her because she was herself again. She was confident. Mm-hmm. And then coming into this match, Mariah's like, "Oh, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to come in and I'm going to murder you. I'm going to kill you once and for all." And throughout this match, you saw more and more like Mariah was looking around like, "Oh no, this chick is crazy." Like when the Taipei deathmatch part started happening, and she's just like vigorously wrapping the tape around and like dunking her hand in the glass, and Mariah's like, "I guess this is what we're doing." Like she was looking around like, "I didn't sign up for this."
It's in my hand too, I think. I don't know what we're doing, but yeah. And Tony's eyes are just like, we're about to kill each other. You said you wanted this. Let's do it.
I'm going to kill you. All that stuff was great. I thought it was brilliant to bring the stuff all the way back up to the ramp, and the call back to Mariah turning on her, bringing the shoe back in. I thought that was very smart. The table spot, yeah, you can say that it looked a little clunky having those big bins out there for them to get on, but I think that it served its purpose. Man, kudos to Luther, man. Luther sold the hell out of that pump kick, man. I was dying laughing when she came out with the taser because, first of all, her popping out of nowhere with that taser was hilarious. And then when he snatched it away, and I mean, he got pump kicked and she got him up out of here, bro. Like,
yeah, he was gone when the camera shot over to him and you couldn't see him because he flew so far. I was like, "That she fucked Luther up."
Yeah, that was great. The sky high off of the top of the platform through the tables also looked great. Just the ending of it and this finally being over with, and Tony just laid on top of her after it was over and embraced her. I thought that was perfect. The ending credits on the Trons as well all played very well.
There's two moments in this match where I was like, okay, they totally were wrong. This should have been the main event. When they had the overhead shot of Tony and there's so much blood on her, looks like she's dead. I was like, this is insane. But the ending, Phil, they have this crazy cover. It's a great overhead shot again. And then it zooms out and it says the end. Imagine we're not done with this show, but if we would have ended the show like that, how different the perception of this show would have been. If it would have been like the end and we're walking out to that, it's crazy.
Yeah, I definitely think this should have been the main event. But yeah, this was a great match. Having a story that's played out like this for a year, and I mean, crossed the globe with this thing. Went all the way to London and on Mariah's home turf to start it. Went to Australia and then finished it in all places. LA, Hollywood, perfect. I think just like everything about this was executed so well. That video package they aired on Wednesday to give you all of the beats, I was like, nah, this was really a great feud. One of the greatest feuds I've ever seen.
I can't believe, there's been they don't in any wrestling company, they don't give this much time to women's stories to like really flesh it out, really slow walk the dog into telling this, having so many different beats, letting these women transform. Both of them transformed a couple times, just like everything that it took to get to this point. And then to put a stamp on it like that, Hollywood ending, they both end in blood. Mariah hit Tony in the coochie with the champagne bottle. Like there's just
which looked nuts.
That was wild as hell. Just like all that craziness to put a stamp on this story, put a bow on this story like that, will many consider the greatest story in this company's history. Kudos to those ladies. Well deserved. Amazing work from Mariah all throughout. Amazing work from Tony all throughout. Just like a great story.
Yes. I know some people are going to be like, it's AEW. They put their women in these big hardcore matches. And I do think that this has become like the promotion for women's hardcore matches because they've done so many great ones at this point. Like you've seen what that did for Britt and Thunder Rosa, saw how much that helped the Willow and Statlander feud. And there's just so many other examples of just great hardcore deathmatch style matches with the women, and the women have taken the baton and all of those opportunities and they've excelled, and the same thing happened here. And I'm sure some people will be like, oh, why do you guys keep acting like the women have to like try and kill themselves in order to get these acclaimed matches? I think that's kind of an unfair way to look at this because again, I think if any feud needed to get to this point where the violence excelled to this level, it was this one because they told a story throughout, and it wasn't just like, okay, just get to a third match and it's a stipulation match. We got so much in between there. We got so many character moments. We got so many great moments in terms of storytelling, great promos and stuff. I think it's kind of unfair to just say, all right, well, of course you guys love it because it ended up in the women bleeding again. I think that's kind of a reductive way to look at it. And of course, we've also got, again, the discourse of
a bunch of people being fake mad. I hate that shit.
Yeah, we don't need to see women bleed, but I continue to say, if you're going to say you want the women to be treated as equal, then let the women do the stuff that the men can do on these shows as well.
Facts.
And that goes into my belief that, yeah, for what this meant and just for how big this was, it should have been the main event.
Yep.
And I think, we've talked before that eventually they should give like the women a blood and guts match. They should give the women a big stipulation match. Man, they should give the women a face of the revolution match. They should give them more spots. And I think this is good for women's wrestling because it shows more and more that what the women are capable of. And man, if you thought that there was a ceiling for the women, there's a ceiling for just Toni Storm after her run with WWE. She's proved so many people wrong. For my money, one of the best signings this company has ever made.
Yeah, far and away. I think it's just so many women wrestlers want to be given the opportunities and they want to do wild shit like this. I hate when discourse starts like this because they try to act like these women were forced to do these things. And I hate that discourse. Like the management said, you guys have to do this hardcore match and you have to have blood and you have to. No, these women pitch all these ideas. Sometimes I've heard stories of management having to turn down people because they want to do some extreme shit. It's not about being forced to do anything. This is the wrestlers pitching this shit. Like Tony and them are like, we want to bleed. And Mariah, we do this. We want to have all these things. They're not forced into anything.
I mean, when we interviewed Ruby and she told people like she hates the discourse and like this is like the women should be able to do more than one thing. And I think that says a lot about not just like the fact that you allowed the women to bleed in this feud, but you allowed Tony to create this story that does like the sexual innuendos and owns these things on her own terms. And you allowed Mariah to do this character that is so distinctly different. I like I said, I think it's reductive to just act like, oh, well, this is what AEW always does with their women. Like, no, I think there's a lot of nuance here.
That's a fact. A lot. Beyond that, though, women knocked it all the way out of the park, and we can fight to the end that they should have been the main event, but they definitely should have been the main event.
Yeah, man. I think there are some ways where you can come away from this feeling kind of low and feeling like, if any match, this was the one for Tony to give the main event, and if not this one, then which one? But man, the women killed it on this show, man. They really were such an integral part of this pay-per-view. The Mercedes match and this match were so good that I think it's part of why I think this is one of the best AEW pay-per-views of all time.
Yeah, and I think that the women, this doesn't have to be it. Like, they don't have to be like, we told that great story and we can never do it again. This just shown that they could do it. They could be told more, and we will eventually see that AEW main event on a pay-per-view. But we're just saying, like, this was an opportunity. So we hope to get to it very soon. And with Mercedes and Tony, how they've been working, they deserve it more than anything.
Yeah, I think, if anything, this was the best opportunity to give the women the main event.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of, and it's to the point of, not to stay on this point, but the way it's talked about and how people are like, well, yeah, we'll give them the main event when they draw what the men do, or when they tell a storyline as big as the men, or this was it. This was the storyline. There was no excuse not to give them the main event.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, but
yeah.
I get it. I mean, I am a proponent of world title match as main event, but like, that's a world title too, so I don't know.
Yeah. Kenny Omega took on Konosuke Takeshita, an AEW International Championship match. We talked about how I thought this was going to be match of the night. Little did I know that this card was going to be as good as it was. And it's wild to think about a card that was this good, that to me, Kenny and Takeshita was maybe my third or fourth favorite match on the show.
Right, yes.
But this match was very good. I love the story they told here. It was very much played down to the rest of this card, because the rest of this card was so violent and over the top, and they told a much more subtle story, I thought, coming out and doing an homage to the anime with the boxers. I saw some people like, I don't get the gear choice, but a lot of people have now put up the screenshots from the anime, and you can see what they were doing. I thought that was smart. I think the chemistry here was great.
Yep.
I think that Kenny did a lot here to make Takeshita feel like the next up-and-comer, man. If you didn't feel like that already, man, Kenny did a lot to make this guy look special.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. That was kind of the story of this match. Of Kenny was coming into the promos to the match, he was saying that a lot of people are saying Takeshita's here now, he's next, we don't even really need you in this position, nor we got the new Kenny Omega. And Kenny being like, no, that's not true. I think I could still prove myself. I was down for a minute because I thought I wasn't going to come back, but I'm still that guy. And so a lot of the matches, like Kenny trying to do his greatest hits and show, like, look, I still got it. I still got the V triggers. I still got the dives. I still got this. And then in contrast to Takeshita, like, I don't care about none of that. I'm just going to knock your ass out right here on the spot. And a lot of it was just like Kenny would get into gear and then Takeshita would be like, nope, I'm going to knock you out.
Yes. Kenny Omega is a guy that very much believes in building up lore. I think that was originally what made all of his stuff with Okada so good, because you built up this lore in between the matches, and he's been doing something like that since he's come back. This idea of, yeah, I'm back now, I'm the best bout machine, and then you go to Japan where you're supposed to be beloved, and you look around and it's like, wait, times have changed. They like that guy now. What's happening? Like, this guy is the guy you like, that guy? And like, coming out of that match, and yeah, you beat Gabe Kidd, but the more that match went on, the more that crowd was behind Gabe. And then coming back to AEW and going, okay, well, I'm going to go get some singles gold. This guy beat me before, but the best bout machine, I'm going to beat this guy. And so building this story of a younger, hungrier guy at every turn, being stronger and faster than him and being able to keep up with everything he does and putting him through his paces. And the longer this match went on, it's like, oh, I can't just come out here and stay at cruise control and beat this guy. I've got to actually give this guy everything I've got. I thought that was great. I definitely think we will see another match between these two guys somewhere down the line.
For sure says we're going to get another match.
Yeah. But yeah, having him eke out the win here, I thought this was smart because, again, it made Takeshita look like a big, colossal threat. He's still never open weight champion. I love the parallels between him and Okada right now and how it feels like that guy could go back to Japan and make a big splash anytime now. I've been saying my bold prediction for 2025 is that guy is going to be IWGP World Heavyweight Champion eventually. I feel like it's inevitable, especially since they signed him. It's going to happen. And so just the idea that Okada's here being Okada, meanwhile, this guy feels like the guy. He feels like the next big guy.
Yeah, just like in both companies, too. It's kind of crazy. I thought the structure of the match was so good. Takeshita trying to be in, just killing him at every point, almost finishing him. The way that Kenny, the way that they finished the match, it gave Takeshita the edge because he's been killing people. He's been having a great year doing all this stuff. Kenny's only had 2 or 3 matches, and if he would have just came in and throttled Takeshita, it wouldn't have made a lot of sense. They made it look like he just barely got out of there. And if this was a different day, Takeshita would have been the one to get out of there with the championship. Just a lot of really good storytelling in this match. It made Takeshita, who already looks like a superstar, even to a bigger superstar. And Kenny, not for nothing, did show that he could still do all the things that Kenny Omega can do.
Yes. You had Takeshita be the guy that worked his midsection a lot. And then played up the diverticulitis and everything with him coming back. Man, the way he landed sideways, ow, that looked horrible.
I thought that was also interesting, too, in that little moment, because they had Takeshita set up the table, which got a big pop, which always gets a big pop. But then they had Kenny Omega come in and flipped over the table, which people were mad because, like, if you're going to show us tables, we want tables. I'm like, okay, so are they playing up a little heel element with Kenny? Because he looked at the crowd kind of like, shut the fuck up. I don't care. Like, that's not the way that I was going. But they were just playing into where they were going with the midsection spot. But I thought that was really little kind of teaser or whatever that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was very inventive. And to get to that spot with him landing on it the way he did, that looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the way this was worked, the storytelling in this match was so good. And I thought that this was needed on a show with so many big, violent, like deathmatch style matches or the cage match. I felt like this added variety here. Again, for the company that we hear all the time doesn't tell stories. There's a lot of stories being told here.
So many stories.
And I definitely think just like the build of continuing to build to catch up this year and continuing to simultaneously build to Omega versus Okada, I think that's very smart. And it never felt like in the midst of this that Takeshita's a stepping stone to get past. He still feels like a big threat.
Yeah, kind of like we kind of expected Kenny to win this match and expected it to go this way, but it wasn't like he's going to walk through Takeshita. And I think that this might have even put him over more than if he already won, because he already has the victories over. That's not really about the thing. It's about showing that Takeshita is actually the person that we're all saying, and specifically that Kenny Omega's saying. I thought it was a great match in the middle of, like you said, a violent thing, but it was kind of like on the lines of the MJF and Hangman match. It was just like two guys trying to beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, yes. For me, match of the night was Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher in a cage. We've said this multiple times, but Ospreay is usually the best match on these shows. We're now up to the point of Ospreay being with AEW for a year, and in a year, I feel like most of the pay-per-views he's been on, his match feels like the big attraction match. It feels like the big special match. It is only so much longer you're going to be able to stop from putting the belt on this guy. He feels like the biggest star in the world when he comes out. He tried to bring back dubstep for some reason when he came out.
Things are just taking a turn, Phil, when this starts like boom, 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 boom. I was like, wait, what's happening here? Is this a lot going on? I don't know who's coming out here.
Yeah, I felt like one of those people that is like yelling next to the DJ booth at a club, play Elevated.
You got the little cell phone with Elevated on there.
Play Elevated.
I don't know what this is. But yeah, they both look like big stars after the dubstep. They start the match standing on top of the cage. Kyle Fletcher.
Awesome visual.
Let's talk a little bit about Kyle Fletcher, Phil. This guy looks like a superstar. Before you even get to the match, the way that his confidence has built and built and built week after week, and everybody's telling him all these things and who he's going to be the future of AEW and trying to compete on a high level with Will Ospreay, who's fucking an expert level mode right now. He came out there and looks like, I don't give a fuck y'all care about Ospreay. I don't give a fuck what y'all think this match is going to be. I'm the biggest fucking star here. I'm going to be world champion. When he was standing on top of the cage, I was like, Kyle Fletcher, dog, is one of them ones. Like, I know we already know that, but like Denise talked about it, like with the class of like Fletcher, Daniel Garcia, like the next up type of guys. Kyle Fletcher is ready. He cemented himself before the match even started. I was like, this guy cemented himself. But as the match running along, I was like, oh yeah, he really did it.
Yeah, you could see a lot of the influences from New Japan in the Kenny and Takeshita stuff, and how you can tell a lot of this was like, hey, I know this is storyline, but the real life stuff is this guy is great. I'm willing to do all of this stuff to make this guy look good. And you got the same stuff here with Ospreay, where Ospreay is like, no, this guy is going to be a future. This guy's my friend. I'm trying to make this guy look like one of the biggest stars in this company. And he didn't have to do that. Coming in and giving this guy a big win last year, and then what this match did for him, what this entire feud has done for him. He came out with like the gi and everything on the robe, and he looked like a big karate movie villain with the glasses and everything. He looked awesome. And then, like you said, that visual of them standing on top of the cage, staring across each other, that was so cool. Man, but this match, bro, there are things that Ospreay does that I'm just like, I don't think this guy is human. Like, how do you do that? Like, bro, the Oz cutter he hit where he jumps off the side of the cage, like unreal. Like the timing of it is clean.
Right. You're a superhero, Will Ospreay. How do you reverse off of a cage and look like that and do that?
Crazy. The Phoenix Splash he hits out of the corner, which I'm just like, how did you do that without like violently slamming against the corner of this thing and landing on your face? Like the way he came out of that and hit the move clean, like, bro, the counter he does when Mark Davis gets in the ring and he's just like fighting both of them at the same time. This guy, man, he's incredible, man. One of the great. I mean, I know it's so easy to make him out to be a spots guy and like a high flyer that just does all the cool moves, but the guy does all the cool moves very well.
Yeah, like anybody can do cool moves, but the way that he specifically does them is so different. The way that I listened to somebody, one of the people on the Observer Radio, they were like, "Yeah, watching an Ospreay match with Dave is so funny because he reacts to the spots like he just seen him for the first time." But that's how Ospreay is. Like things we've seen him do 30 times. Again, we're like, oh, damn, that's crazy. You know what I mean?
Incredible. Just video game stuff. The Spanish fly off of the top of the cage. And there's a pic of it. I know we talked about Leslie's reaction during the Swerve match and the Mercedes stuff. There's a picture of her while that's happening with her phone up. And she's just like, arms up. Like, what did I just see? Like, bro, like when they were getting up on top of the cage, I was like, we don't need to do this. Hold on. What are we doing? What are we doing? Bro, when they hit that, I was like, what?
That is the most anxiety I had the whole show, is them up there getting ready for this Spanish fly. I'm watching Kyle Fletcher's feet and I'm like, what if there's so many what ifs that can
scary,
happen.
Very scary.
Like, maybe it's just like Phil saying, maybe don't do this. I know like this is a feud and you guys are mad at each other, but this is scary. And so they hit it and it's loud. Like they smack the mat. People go insane. I yelled. I was like, ah! Like it was crazy. Like an unbelievable spot. I can't believe that they did that. Insane bump from Kyle Fletcher. Insane transition from Will Ospreay. Just like unbelievable.
Yeah, crazy to watch. Of course, also the Styles Clash onto the tax also looked nuts.
Styles clashed his balls and nut, and like that was crazy. His crotch first, essentially.
Yeah, man, just countless spots in this match
and bloody. Also, what do you think of the? Because people were like, why did they do this match when Toni Storm and Mariah did that kind of bloody thing? Because it was kind of like two bloody, violent things. Do you think that the Ospreay and Fletcher match did anything to the Toni? Did it make you think any different about that match?
No, I think when AEW pay-per-views are good, sometimes they have a great overarching theme. And I think the great thing about this show is they had this theme of all of these guys that are very good, but they're embroiled in like a bitter rivalry. And it's like, well, I want you to be doing something else. But in order to get past that, you got to get past all of this murky, violent stuff lingering from last year. And that was the story with Swerve. Swerve had to get out of this Ricochet stuff to get out and move on to the world title picture. In order for Toni Storm to move on and embrace like becoming a babyface, she had to finish her unfinished business with Mariah. And it's the same here with Ospreay. In order for Ospreay to move on and go and point at the sign and say, I want to be world champion, he had to get out of this rivalry with one of his best friends. And that was across the board. Even with Hangman, in order to cement his babyface turn and to move on, hopefully back into the world title picture later this year, he had to get past Max.
Yeah, I say that's what I'm saying. Like, I think they have to be different kind of in the vacuum things. It wasn't just like, these are both violent matches. Like, these are both violent matches for a reason. And I think that's what changes everything. This was insane, though. Like you were saying, Phil, there continues to be this undeniable thing about Will Ospreay. And you're going to like, speaking of what happened in the main event and seeing like, again, like how I felt with the Toni thing, if we would have ended this show with Ospreay on the top of the cage, fucking rocking out, it would have been a way different feeling leaving that show. And like, we continuously get this with Ospreay of like, he's either the best match of the night or the best part of the show for so many of these shows. Usually, historically, and Meltzer also brought this up, historically, you make that guy the champion. If nobody can follow him, then that means you just put him on last as the champion, then you don't run into that problem. And that's the problem we're running into here now. It's like, there's some amazing people all throughout this company, but specifically when Ospreay is there, it's hard to top what he does. So put him in the main event.
Yeah, he was incredible. Fletcher also was incredible here. Just not just him hitting the moves and some of the incredible stuff he did, his facial expressions, some of the acting he did, the finish of him getting lined up for the hidden blade, and he's just like, I hate you, fuck you, and he just gets absolutely clobbered with the hidden blade. It looked crazy.
Yeah, Fletcher, amazing work. It's exactly like Mariah May, I think, in that, like, he took every situation. He made a few transformations throughout this thing, but it was like this bigger talent in Toni and in Will Ospreay are here to get this person over. And at the end of it, Kyle Fletcher is very over. I expect him to be AEW World Champion one day. He looks like a big star. He was selling insane in this, bumping incredible. His offense was off the charts. Like, he feels like they got a top star in him now.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about, like, with them being on the same side now, you can eventually get to this version of heel Aussie Open challenging for those belts as well, and that could be a big moment with those two guys as champion.
Yes. Sign me up, please.
Yeah. So there's so many ways you can go with Kyle Fletcher. I know some people will act like it's a downgrade to put him back in the tag division, but he feels like such a big guy now that you could feasibly build the tag division around Aussie Open now.
Thank you. I'm sending this clip to Denise Salcedo, who every time I'm like, he could do both though. Like it doesn't have to be over for his singles thing. I hear you, but also having the Ozzy Opie thing is, I think, going to help more. So like, we should also do that too.
You don't put Mark Davis back next to him in the same stable with him. Not to do tag matches eventually, bro.
Exactly.
And where this tag division is, you need like tag divisions that feel like big stars, and where he is right now, this isn't the same Aussie Open. Like they feel like a different group than they were when they first came in. We knew they could have the matches, but like this Aussie Open led by Kyle Fletcher is different.
They're going to have way more heat because we feel a different way about Kyle Fletcher now. Now he's a top star. Now he's this. It's going to add on to those elements of what Aussie Open represents. And as heels, they're already an amazing tag team when they were. But now with this extra added pressure, it's just going to mean so much. But still, you don't take Kyle out of anything else that he's doing. Like he could still be a part of the TNT title division. He could still be a part of all these things, but also the tag team of Aussie Open.
Yes. Main event of the show.
Well.
This was inarguably the low point of the show. Not just for me. It
Not
feels
even
like
a question.
Universally, this has been panned by most people I've seen online. Jon Moxley took on Cope for the AEW World Championship. I'll start with love.
Yes.
I'll start with love.
Moxley,
currently, I think this look works for him. I think it was Ibu where he was saying sometimes you got to watch people grow into confidence as a bald guy once they start cutting their hair off. And
right.
you can see that Mox has to look down with like the beard, with like the that comes to a point with the goatee at the bottom. He's got his look down. He is massive now. This guy is in incredible shape. He looks healthier than he ever has. Like you could tell, like he just how clear his skin looks. He looks great. When he comes out, it's hard to not see how much this is influenced by the Roman stuff. I mean, even him calling himself the king of these lands, very, very much influenced by tribal chief. Island of relevancy,
trying to get his own little saying thing. Yeah.
When he comes out through the crowd though, and bro, I don't care. Mox is Mox. He's still got this aura to him. When I was watching him come through the crowd with Marina, and just like how he's like, bro, when he gets in, and when at the beginning of this match, and when he's beating Copeland down, and he's talking trash to him. You remember, like, Mox is Mox. Even when he was cutting a promo Wednesday, Mox is still Mox. This angle is not working, though. This is
what I was trying to say coming into what I was saying into the group chat. People wanted to like this, Phil. Like you're describing here, Mox came out, people went ham. Like they like that guy. Like he's established who he is there. Cope came out, we all sang along. We all wanted to like this. We were trying to make this match work. But then as soon as the bell rang, I was like, oh, this is not going to be it.
No. I think it's part of with the pacing compared to the rest of the match, because
the
rest of this show was nonstop action. So you get this match and it's slow and plotting. Most of the first half of this match is what we've seen from a lot of Cope matches where Cope comes in. Of course, he came in, feels like a massive star. Crowd is singing his entrance theme. And then Mox beats down on him, talks trash to him most of the match while he's beating down. Again, he's good at that. He
legit the formula for every Edge match almost ever at this point.
Yes. I mean, and like I said, Mox is good at this because he feels like a big boss. He's like beating him down and he's talking trash to him. Like, this guy thinks he's going to come in here and beat me. Like, who is this guy? Like, and so at one point he puts him through the paces and he kicks out. He's like, that's it. He's done. He's leaving in a wheelchair. He's done.
There's bits of it that I like, and like you described in the entrance, I was rolling when he came down because he's like mumbling stuff, and he's like the way that he moved,
I love it.
Hilarious.
Just the way he paces back and forth, and he's like talking to himself. It's great, but again, very clearly influenced by the Roman stuff. Like I can't unsee it now that I've noticed it. So yeah, he's beating down on him, but I think when we come out of that cage match and just how good that cage match was, and you follow that with this slow and plodding start to this match, and it's just mostly building up to Copeland making his comeback. And once he does make his comeback, it doesn't feel as rewarding as we want it to be, because I never believed that he can win this match.
We never wanted him to win the match.
At no point do I believe that he's actually going to win this match. And so it just doesn't have the desired effect. Mm-hmm. Then we introduced this contract. If you remember, back in August, I was on Twitter, and boy, I was fighting for my life, because I said this is all very convoluted. It doesn't work. And people were like, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And I was like, I felt very vindicated in this moment, because boy, was this not good. Boy, you built up this contract all this time, and to get to this point where we get the hooded figure like WWE, the ref bump and everything, I hated it. I hated it so much. And then when Cope got in there, we got the finish of Mox using the chokehold he uses, the bulldog choke on him to win. I was like, what an awful finish.
And Phil, they had just had a 20-minute match. Christian's the fresh guy, and he's the one that ends up getting tapped out. I was like, oh, that was horrible.
I hated this finish, man. And as much as I was trying to be charitable throughout this match, because there were things about the match itself that I enjoyed, but this finish was awful. And I think, again, it's partially because we've gotten conditions for so long with the bloodline stuff, where we've seen this for so many times, where it's like, I don't want to see this again. And feeling like AEW is supposed to be this alternative and this palate cleanse to that, and then seeing it over here, I did not want this. I did not enjoy this at all.
After this show we just saw, Phil, like this maybe could have worked if this was in the middle of the show, and then after that we still got Ospreay and Tony Storm and Kenny Omega. I'm gonna let you get a pass, but I just saw Ospreay and Tony Storm and Kenny Omega fucking blow it out of the water. I just saw Ospreay do this gigantic Os cutter, and this is how you're finishing it, with Christian coming out with the hoodie bit.
Yeah, and this is what I said earlier in the year when we talked about should they pivot from this. I think right now, with how hot WWE is, regardless if you like their product or not, they excel at a very specific thing. You're not going to be able to outdo them at that. And I don't think trying to match what they do, you're just not going to be able to do it. And so trying to do a version of that here, it just don't hit, man. And
why would I watch it here when I can watch it over there? If the biggest dog is doing it, I'm just going to watch the big dog do it.
Exactly. So, yeah, I just think in order for AEW to excel right now, they have to do things that are unique to their product. And I think you saw that throughout this show. The stuff that was great on this show is unique to their product. And this felt like retread. Like it felt like something we've seen before, and not in a great way. And I mean, these two guys are big, massive stars. And closing this show in any other circumstance, this feels like a match worthy of the Staples Arena. This feels like something worthy of that crowd in LA. But the match we got out of it, man, I did not like this.
Yes. What you guys know what your boy Righteous Reg always says, Phil was trying to say it here earlier. You can't out Pizza the Hut. Like, you can't. Just remember, if you're trying to out Pizza the Hut, you're dumb. But yeah, what's the point of doing this if I can already see it over there? And that's what it was. There were so many WWE style elements like you described with Adam Copeland's match style. And it's like, after we just seen all this, it doesn't make sense. Like, I was like, I don't know how self-awareness works in wrestling, but like, did Moxley and Cope watch any of the show before and think like, yeah, we're really going to destroy him with how we structured our match? Like, there has to be somebody that's like, hey, you guys should probably think twice about this, because these fans are going to be blown away, and then you guys are going to come slow walk the dog, and that's not how the night should be ended.
Yeah, this was
unfortunate.
This was very low point to a very, very good pay-per-view. I do think this is an all-time great pay-per-view still.
Yes.
Currently, I would
Can't
say
take
it's
it away.
probably my favorite AEW pay-per-view thus far. But funny enough, Revolution is also where the exploding barbed wire death match was. And when you compare that, and like, I still think that match was very good. The finish itself was funny. Like, bro, this makes that match feel like a Magnus Opus. Like, that makes that match feel like a 5-star match.
Right, run it back. I'm saying like that. I'll watch that explosion 10 times. Yeah, this was, I think it almost felt, I don't want to say fitting, or it felt like something, Phil, of like all the buildup of how much we talked about this coming into the show and been like, that's probably, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that. And then they do that. And then it's like, oh, it's exactly how we kind of figured it would go. Like, what were y'all thinking?
Yeah, I was thinking that during the match of how much of this were we prepared to not like it, because the whole time we've been like, I don't want this match.
I don't want it.
And so I was trying to watch it with an open mind, and just the more it went on, I was like, no, this ain't
Like
it.
I said, we tried
This ain't it.
to give it a chance. Like Moxley came down, we're excited. We sang the Cope song, like you guys all saw it. We wanted to give this match a chance, and they had a chance to do something to get us interested in. But as soon as I saw Christian come down with the hood, I was like, this match is gonna die a horrible death.
Yeah. Which, speaking of getting to the end, on this day, I see clearly that Swerve is the guy.
Okay, so the match is happening. Like, while the match is happening, people are distracted. I'm talking to Jess and Alex. Shout out to my homies. Like, we're just out of here. 1, 2, 3, or he taps him out. It's all over. And so we're just like getting ready to go, chilling there. And I see like this figure out, like not on the screen, just like in the crowd. I'm like, damn, that looks kind of dope. Who is that? And then they're like, oh, it's Swerve. And so when they shot the Swerve, Phil, and he looks like a fucking superhero, like the savior of this company, it was like, oh, that's the guy. Then he does the big stomp, lands on his feet, and you're like, oh shit, this is the guy. Then he poses, and you're like, this is the guy. Then he gets in the ring, and you're like, this is the guy. I'm like, okay, I guess if any shining light out of this, because I guess we didn't mention, but you guys know, Swerve won the match earlier, and that was to determine the #1 contender for the AEW World Champion at Dynasty. And so Swerve came at the end of the night, Phil, and I was like, again, make this guy the champion.
Yes. This main event, the whole Cope Christian stuff, it felt like a downer. Getting to the end of this, knowing that Swerve was the #1 contender, and Mox is going through the tunnel going into the back, and you see Nana, and I was like, oh wait, and then the camera goes up and Swerve is perched up there like Batman or something. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh shit. And then he comes down and does that great stomp that he's done, the callback to the Joe feud and all the stuff ahead of Dynasty. And that's how the night ends, closes on him doing his pose. I was like, bro.
Hard.
That was a great ending. That totally salvaged the ending of this show for me. And that made me excited for Dynasty at the very least. But I don't see how anyone at home or backstage could be watching this and not see we got to pull the trigger. We got to put that belt back on Swerve, dog. Like, he was getting the loudest reactions throughout the show. When you look at, like, even just talk about the celebrities being there, and the celebrities being there and it's attached to him. Michael Cooper cheering for him. Leslie Jones cheering for him. The crowd was loud for him throughout the show. Like,
Dave Farrow's in there cheering for him. Like, everybody's cheering for Swerve.
Yes. The reaction with the robe stuff at the end, bro, one of the loudest reactions of the night. When he came and showed up at the end, that crowd got loud, bro. It's not just that I feel like you've got to pivot from this Mox Death Rider stuff because it's not working, but with the storyline you have, and the entire time Mox has been like, I'm waiting for someone to step up. And what you built before he became champion with the Dynasty era, put that belt back on Swerve, dog.
Put a belt on Swerve. I went to 3 California shows this month, and before every show, it was exactly the same in Fresno this week. Whose House. People are trying to get that thing going. They're trying, like everybody's trying to get their Whose House in. The whole thing, I see shirts. Everybody in the crowd is telling these people, this is who we want, Bill. They showed us again on Sunday. Huge pop when it came out. They keep telling them, this is who we want. Now, are they listening? That's a different story for another day.
I'm worried because coming out of this,
I don't know if they're listening.
I'm worried because coming out of this, I thought it was very obvious that that should be the call with the reaction, with even the online response to this main event, the online response to Swerve. I feel like it's pretty obvious what you need to do. When we got to Wednesday and Jay White was doing this stuff backstage, and Jay White was like, if I'm not number one contender, nobody should be. And I was like, no. Don't do this to me. It sure feels like this is going to lead to Jay White doing something in this feud, whether he interferes in the street fight next week or something, whether he turns on Copeland. Dog, I don't care. Have him feud with Cope moving forward. Do not do an interference angle in this Swerve Mox match and have Swerve lose. Don't do this, please.
You know, they want to, Phil. They like that bloodline shit. They want to so bad.
Don't do this. And I mean, this goes back to last year. And I mean, this was very polarizing because we were sitting here the whole time like, hey, I get it. Put the belt on Bryan, give him his big moment in this last year as a full-time competitor. But there were a lot of people that were not done with Swerve as champion.
Facts.
And man, I don't see it, man. I don't see how you can't see right now that that's the move, to put the belt back on Swerve. You got to. And I know, the story seems like it's been leading back to Darby. I don't think you can wait until Darby comes back. Mm-mm. And even outside of the Darby stuff, coming out of this pay-per-view, it feels like there are at least 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 guys that could conceivably beat Mox before then. And right now, with how popular this guy has been, right now with how this guy has had the Midas touch with every feud he's got in, it's Swerve, dog. You got to put the belt back on him.
Swerve Strickland, man. Seeing the end of that show and how people reacted and how people keep reacting, I'm like, oh, they got one. But they don't just got one, because we just had a fucking 15-minute conversation on how Will Ospreay could also be the same thing. Like, you guys got some fire in a bottle. The beginning of the Revolution, Hangman Adam Page could also be there's places that you can go that will be where people want you to get to, but we can't wait till Darby. We can't. That's just that's not happen. And especially after this main event this week. And then Philip Lindsey, I'm sitting there at fucking Dynamite in Fresno, and they're like, oh, next week we're actually doing a rematch of Jon Moxley and Adam Copeland for the World Championship. And I'm like, what? You saw the online backlash and said, let's do a rematch?
Well, at least the good thing about that is it feels like they're not going to try and do this as a pay-per-view match. At least this tells me that they know, don't do a rematch to this on a pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, knock this out on TV, and move on to the next challenger.
Yeah, but why though? I'm still quite what is this to do the Jay White thing? Because I'm like, I don't know what the point of this is. Because Moxley's going to win. Like, where are you doing this?
The only thing I can figure is you're trying to knock this feud out with Cope
for good. Okay, I can get with that.
And it kind of feels like they're trying to keep this feud, well, at least keep the belt on him until All In. I think that's a mistake. I think waiting till July, that's too long. I think you've got to. I think you've got to blow this thing up, man. It's not working. It's not working.
We're still in March, and Dynasty's a few weeks away too. Like, come on, dog. We gotta.
Yeah. No, I think you've got to pivot, and I've been saying that for a while, but it could not be more clearer in the last 2 or 3 weeks that it should be Swerve that beats him.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's the best part I think we established out of this whole thing. Yeah, not the best main event there was, but I still think a 9 out of 10 show. Could have been 10 out of 10 without the tag match and without the main event thing, but 9 out of 10, tremendous show. Probably the best wrestling, the big main event wrestling show that I've ever attended in my entire life. So there's that.
Yeah, very fun show.
Unbelievable.
I definitely had a little FOMO watching it at home. Great show though.
And Denise and I talk so often about how West Coast crowds can sometimes be a little pretentious. LA showed up to have a good time that night. So shout out to all the LA homies. No one was being pretentious. We all were having a good time. Finally, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, man, when Leslie was setting the tone of like, I'm not just a celebrity to be in the crowd to just wave like the queen. I'm here to be into the matches. I'm here to be invested. That's what I want to see. That's how I want the crowds to be. Like, don't just come in and sit on your hands. Be into the show.
Yeah, let's have a good time out here. We had a good time out there. Yeah. Should we get into a few super chats before we move forward? Grapple Geekery says Rock's more influential and recognizable than Hogan at this point.
We have a hand. I would think so, yeah.
I mean, because Hogan is known still, but not like the Rock's the biggest actor in the world.
Yeah.
Corey Davis said, thoughts on Obafemi? His match with Moose was good. How do you feel about Oba, Phil?
Man, I love Oba. I think they've got something in the guy. I hope they understand just how great this guy is. I mean, this kind of feels like lightning in a bottle. Out of all of the NIL guys, this guy, cream of the crop, man. This guy's worked out very well for them. And I think he's going to be great for them once they move him up to main roster.
Yeah, I think that it feels like they know that they got something with them. I hope that they like really invest in it because we've seen this little pattern before with NXT. Black male wrestlers, Phil, is like they get shine on NXT, they'll even win the championship, but then it gets to the main roster, it kind of dies off. Hope it's not that.
Yeah, me too. I hope so too.
And I don't have time to get into it, but I want to get into WWID stuff, and it's just too intense for me because I need to really need to absorb everything that's being presented. But after this last couple of days and what the Twitter machine was doing, I have thoughts.
It looks crazy. That Dave report and everything, it looks kind of crazy. Brett coming out and saying, no, that's not what it is. Like, it looks crazy.
I will just say, Brett, you can't be the voice of this. You can't, dude. You just can't. The reason I don't want you specifically is because you represent the biggest fucking independent wrestling company in the world. This is bad for you. If this goes good for them, this goes bad for you. I don't know why he can't see this.
Well, I mean, even if what he says is true, the optic of it doesn't look great for people, especially if you think this is WWE going down to the indies and doing what they always do, trying to assimilate companies. The people that want to be against this, no matter what, no, it's just going to look like him trying to sell us on something. It just doesn't matter. Like I said again, he could be telling the truth, but it's just the visual of it, of him saying it. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look great.
And he probably is telling the truth because, like I was saying, they're going to treat GCW different. They already had established a thing. They already have, of course you would be different. I don't want to hear about you, the biggest independent wrestling company you are. Your rules and regulations are mad different than random indie in Indiana.
Yes. But yeah, there's so much to this again. I keep thinking, well, we got to wait and see. I don't know, but some of this looks crazy.
I'm even more confused, Philip Lindsey, because I watched 2 episodes of WWE Evolve on Tubi. And what? You already have NXT. What the fuck is this? This is NXT again. Yesterday I watched the show and they had 2 squash matches. I was all dog. Evolve, when I used to watch Evolve, it was the best independent wrestling. These wrestlers going bar for bar. This is just NXT again before NXT. This is pre-NXT. You don't need this.
Yeah, then you got the LFG, which is basically like what NXT was before it came NXT. Yeah, they might as well start Evolve with the "We are wild and young."
don't get it. I'm like, I feel you. I like all these places for wrestlers to wrestle, but if you're just gonna do the same thing, you already have NXT. Why would I watch Evolve when you're already doing the thing?
Cause we are wild and young.
Everybody's just like, he hates WWE. This is why. Shut up, losers.
No, but this feels very close to what Ring of Honor is. The point having Gabe attached to it as well. Like, I see what they're going for.
What the fuck is this?
You know what it is.
And then the tweeting this week of, hey, tag your favorite promotion. We need our guys to be there. That's what counteracts everything everybody else is saying too, because they were just simping online trying to get booked.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. A lot of this looks crazy. Like the WWE ID account tweeting that out. Some of this looks absolutely nuts.
What is going on? I just keep getting confused. But they're like, no, it doesn't matter. We don't need you. I'm like, but you were just okay.
Listen, man. If people make money, because I saw, I think it was Effie that was saying like this is great because people are making money. Like I honestly don't think people understand how little indie wrestlers make.
Facts.
And if this, gets people into a place where they are making money doing what they love to do, and then it eventually leads to them getting more exposure and more opportunities, fantastic. And so that's me, as always, saying, hey, man, support the wrestler. And if this works out for the wrestlers, great. But some of this looks nuts.
I'm like, good luck with how it's working. Like, if anybody's getting paid, I'm one hit with you 100%. But that's WWE is doing some crazy shit back there. So I don't know, man. Grapple Geekery says, no, I was worried he'd be on there. Stop blaming me. Blame Jericho and Tony Khan. He ditches Big Bill and BK like I keep hoping, then blame me. So Grapple Geeker's like, don't put that shit on me. I'm with you.
Yeah, he started to tease a little bit that he's getting too overconfident. He's yelled at those two, and they're planting the seeds of them eventually turning on him. And I hope that turns into a rewarding storyline. I hope that does something for both Big Bill and Brian Keefe.
It's gonna be tough, but yeah, I hear you, Grapple Geeker. You're right. Then the homie Uncle Donk with the very generous super chat says, the new Street Profits give me high school vibes. Do you think WWE struggled to get Street Profits over, so they decided to mirror not high school, Hurt Syndicate. Hurt Syndicate characters? I'm like, high school. Do you think they struggled to get Street Profits over, so they decided to mirror the Hurt Syndicate characters? Hot takes. Besides, Heyman MVP is the best. Is currently the best in promos.
Yeah, I don't know. High school. I can see where some people might get that vibe, but what they're doing currently is so unique to them. I'm glad that they're giving them a chance to do something different. Montez, I think, is going to flourish with this as a heel. When you give that guy a chance to talk more, he's a much better promo than I think he gets credit for. So, I'm happy for them. I think this is a good move. I think they should have put them back in the title picture and put them belts back on them. So, I can't complain too much about the timing of it because I think that they got this right. And they're trying to build up the tag division on SmackDown. They're doing a much better job of it over there than Raw. So, can't complain too much.
Yeah, that was going to be my question for you, Phil, is do they only want to have one black tag team as champion at the same time? Because, like, the New Day aren't even, like, what are they doing? Like, it feels like they forgot about the New Day story and just started focusing on the Street Profit story because they're like, we can only have one tag team over here. Right? None of this seem weird?
I do not get what they're doing with New Day. As well as that heel turn worked for them, as great as that worked out, I don't get what they're doing. I don't understand it.
I'm confused. And it's because I get even more confused because every time they get some opportunity to do character work, it's awesome. I'm like, oh shit, this is great. Like, they're doing it. But then, like, this stuff doesn't show that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Then Leonard Harris III says, thinking WWE cares about industry equals poor people thinking Trump cares about cheap eggs. I said what I said. Larry Harris III really hates the WWE. That's the guy hates the WWE. Larry Harris III really hates WWE.
No, I feel you, man. That's why I'm like, I just want this to work out for the wrestlers. If this works out for the wrestlers, I can't complain too much. But there are bits of this that look a little fugazi.
I'm just like, we there has to, regardless if WWE makes a monopoly, we still have to have alternatives. And if the biggest fucking alternatives are like, no, it's fine, WWE's cool, that just looks crazy. That's why I was like, if Brett, you don't have to say anything, dude. If you're down, you're down. You don't have to prove anything to anybody.
Yes.
Everybody has to prove something, though. I was there. Look at me. And it's like, all right, cool, dog.
We got some Humper chats. We've got Humper chats from Tony P. I'm trying to see the last one that I read. He says, but that aside, this was the first show that I ever seen that had matches going back to back, trying to be match of the year candidates. There was no way Mox Cope was going to survive, and any other normal AEW match was going to survive being the main event. He also says, now I have a lot of issues with the main event, like believing it should have happened earlier, thinking over it though. There could have been issues with that, possibly that have led to the Death Rider story stalling longer without moving. At least this gives it some movement. Yeah, I want to believe that we're gonna move on now, but
they
I'm
already
not so
announced
sure.
a rematch, so I don't know what that's gonna mean. You know.
Yeah. From Wonga, he says, "Good day, Grapsody fellas. My favorite Chalmers thing was after Game 4 for the finals versus OKC, saying he knew it was go time when KD switched on to him after LeBron went out with the leg cramps." Chalmers wasn't a big fan of him on the team, but watching him as a podcaster, he's pretty funny. Like some of the interviews he's done, I think he's pretty funny, and it's kind of up for him because Rose guy, and he stopped Rose from getting his championship NCAA. But man, Chalmers is Chalmers. Rivalries are rivalries. I don't hate him as a person, but of course I was rooting against him.
Right.
Current Veronica is not good. He says, I finally got the chance to buy my favorite rapper, writer, and podcaster, Modelo, at Revolution. Have you ever gotten a $15 tip and $1 coin before?
Listen, homie, those coins have been clinking around in my pocket ever since Sunday, and I respect it. Now, I appreciate it. Nice meeting you out there. Appreciate you buying me a drink. Nice meeting everybody out there. It's still, I'll continue to say it, like, walking past people and they've been like, hey, I love your work, or hey, I watch every Saturday. I love what you and Phil do. It's so good. It never gets old. So thank you.
Yeah, somebody on Ask Grapsody was saying that they were behind you and Denise and Alex when they were coming out, and they wanted to flag you guys down and say they're a fan of all your work, but they just were too nervous. And I say all the time, man, just say hello, man. We're not gonna yell at you and tell you to go away. We appreciate
am not
it. Seriously.
Nobody. I'm just the dude. I'm just Righteous Reg. I'm not anybody. You can come up to me all you want, dog. I'm not nobody. That sounds crazy with people being like, I didn't want to bother you. You're not bothering me. I promise. Never.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that all three of them would appreciate it. Just say hello. It's cool.
Makes us feel good. I want to hear it every time.
From CM Smiley, she says, afternoon, boys. Hope you are doing well. I'm over here recovering from ending my B-Day with a bunch of blunts and alcohol last night. Hi, Reggie. Miss you, friend.
Happy birthday, Tracy. I hope that those blunts, I had a bunch of them for my birthday, too, and coffee. It was great. Love you. Miss you. Hope you're having a great time.
Yeah. That is all of our Humper chats. Probably last call of Humper chats, super chat. Get those in while we speed through these last two topics.
Oh, yeah. We got one super chat in from our homie Aaron Busby, actually. He said, that silent reaction to DIY on SmackDown was yikes. Both these men were two of the most over wrestlers in 2028. Time flies. 2018, time flies.
Yeah, I think that the DIY stuff, while they're still very good, it just shows how they missed the boat and they should have called them up sooner. I think if they came up as a tag team a few years ago, it would be totally different. Too much time has passed in between their heyday as a tag team and the feud and stuff from NXT. It's just a different audience, man. And I think that's what it is.
Yeah, those were two guys I think that overstayed their welcome in NXT. Yeah. And that came to kind of bite them in the butt here. Like, because like Busby saying here, and Phil saying, like, there was a point where these two guys were over like fucking Rover. And also kind of a cool thing that I discovered watching WWE evolve. 90%, maybe all of it, of the NXT run is on Tubi too. If you don't have anything and you want to stream some wrestling for free, it's all there. So if you want to see the entire DIY run and the shit that got them over, it's on Tubi. But I think back to that day when Tommaso double crossed him, like how hot all that stuff was, and like I thought that they would get back to it, but it's just like you said, Phil, different crowd.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the other part is like them trying to come up under Vince wouldn't have won as well.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate.
Trying to put the like DX thing on it, even as a joke, that like didn't help too. There's so many things that kind of went against them.
But I think they'll be fine. I think as a tag team, they'll do well. What they're building on SmackDown, I really feel like they've got to move one of those tag teams to Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's going on with Pretty Deadly? I thought that those guys were surefire going to be tag champions, and I don't quite get why they've held off on them. But that's a story for another day. In other big AEW news outside of pay-per-view, Speedball officially made his debut on Dynamite as a part of the International Championship tournament. Once we saw Wild Card, I think most of us expected it to be Speedball.
Yeah, a lot of talk about it online. Well, there's been some talk for the last couple months about Speedball Mike Bailey and AEW and what's going to happen after his contract ended with TNA. There was all this talk. I've been kind of expecting and wanting it for a while now, a few years. I knew with the roster of AEW, Mike Bailey has already had great matches with a number of these people. I was like, if he gets on there and be able to cook, it's going to be great. So they announced the thing. We all kind of expected. I went to the show live, like I was telling you guys, in Fresno, because I kind of thought that it could possibly happen. I'm like, if it's going to happen, I definitely want to be there to see it. There's a couple of crowds couple of signs in the crowd of Speedball signs. And anytime they would mention the wild card, there was some splatterings of people being like Speedball. So I was like, oh, cool. Even here in the live crowd, there's some people that kind of expected it. Speedball's made a pretty good name for himself in California specifically. So I figured that would be a thing. But seeing him live, man, you guys know how I feel about Mike Bailey. I've been talking positively about this guy for like 5 years now. And it was just as great as I expected.
Yes, AEW continuing to be the place where all of Reg's favorite wrestlers go to wrestle. It's still very funny. Us starting this podcast funny. And you speaking highly of Willow, and then Willow ends up over there. And then you've been speaking highly of Speedball and Brian Keefe for the longest, and then both of them end up over there. Very funny coincidence.
I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. Can I start getting a check at least, you guys? Send my money.
Nah, you got to run around now saying I A&R at that.
Man, dog, man, I've been doing my work. They don't give me no pat on the back or nothing.
Well, I guess you got to be careful with who you say that in front of, because some people might believe it and think that we're,
there they go. Can't have fun anymore.
Can't just make jokes. But no, this was a great moment for him. I know that they had to hold off because of some visa stuff, and I think this ended up working out for him coming in as a part of this tournament. I love the setup for this tournament of Kenny saying that Takeshita made that belt international, and so having a pool of talent from all these different places and bringing in an international talent like Speedball, that makes all the sense in the world. I was curious to see what his music is going to be, because Brass Monkey is such a big part of his presentation on the indies, and I thought Ruckus did a perfect job of kind of fitting that vibe, doing the hip-hop vibe here. It definitely feels like hip-hop from that time period, which is funny. I'm not thinking about it. When we were on Ask Grapsody, at one point it was just Emilio and me geeking over like old records. Like we talked about the Artifacts record, and he was just playing music, and I was like, man, different times. But this fit perfectly with what his music was on the indies. And this was a very Speedball match, him coming out doing the kicks and everything. I think Hechicero was a perfect opponent for him. I thought he was a good way to showcase what Speedball is.
Beast Mortos. Hetchy was in the Orange Cassidy.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hechicero was in the main event. Beast Mortos. Beast Mortos was a good mesh for him because Beast Mortos is usually the guy you put in there with like the high flyers and guys.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, this was like Phil saying a Mike Bailey showcase. He's one of those guys that his strikes are a big part of his presentation and a big part of what gets the live crowd into it. And that's exactly what's happening here. Like there's some people in the crowd that didn't know who he is, but when he starts doing his kicks and kicking in the mouth, people are like, oh shit, this guy's crazy. He is not wearing shoes. He's like got like a really cool gear. He looks like a karate guy. And he comes out and does all this stuff and like knows how to get people into matches. That was just a preview of what's to come. I'm so excited to see him against name any wrestler in AEW. The fact that this is attached to a match that could be with Kenny Omega is saying a lot. So this is a great way for him to be introduced, Phil.
Yes. The finish of this match was so cool. The kick he does, boy, looked nasty. Great stuff. All of his offense. All of his offense still looks just like what you expect, but like because he had such a tremendous run on the indies, there's so many guys in the company that we know he works well with that those matches when you go back to him he's going to hit. He had a very good Takeshita match last year. Of course, he's had Ospreay matches. There's so many guys here that we know he's going to light it up with. So excited that he's finally in. He is finally all elite. Got the graphic and Speedball, and also. You know, with all of the stuff that went on at one point with him trying to get back in the country to wrestle and like seeing him with a contract now and being on TV, that just makes me happy. Seeing how many wrestlers were excited for him because, again, knowing his story of getting back to the States, it's just really cool to see.
Yeah, when a wrestler, you know, earns it and works hard to get back to that position, then does all this on TNA and establishes himself across the country and multiple indies, deserves a big moment like this. And he's such a great wrestler and beyond a great wrestler, a humble, awesome person, like such a nice person that would do anything for anybody. I've seen Mike help the first wrestler in the show. I've seen him help the main event. Like he's just like a person that is available at all times. So this is a great moment for Speedball Mike Bailey. You're all about to be aware of a very extremely talented wrestler that has the same problem that Will Ospreay has, as his match is usually the match of the night. So it should be great to see them compete on the same cards now. Can't wait.
Yes. Several guys in this company that are just phenomenal wrestlers.
The roster. What the fuck?
Yeah. What a stacked roster. Yeah. And to your point, yeah, he just seems like a very nice, humble guy. I remember I went to a show in Atlanta, which I can't remember. It might have been a Battle Slam show. And I was heading back. I was standing in line for my flight. And I'm just standing there. There's a guy in front of me with a mullet. And I was like, wait, I only know one person with a mullet. And I tapped him on the shoulder. It's Speedball.
I only know one guy with a mullet. Same here. I'm like, oh, okay. Do that. Yeah, great stuff, man. I'm excited to see how he works in AEW. He's good. I mean, I could just see him continuously one of the collision people that cooks. Seeing him with hologram is going to be insane. Like he has multiple
hologram, bro. Man, the hologram experience on Saturday is working. Seeing him on Wednesday, it felt like a treat now because we're so used to seeing him get the attraction matches on Saturday. Yeah, it's working. It's working.
Your boy Hollow the Don is different too. In front of a live crowd, he can.
Hollow gang, buddy.
You're like, what the fuck? I didn't know you could do that. He's spectacular.
Yeah, I've seen him wrestle in person before he became hologram a few times. Phenomenal wrestler.
Unbelievable what this guy does.
Yes. Looking at this tournament and like what we talked about before with Ricochet, it sure feels like Ricochet is going to go on and win this tournament and have the match against Omega. Man, just thinking about the year for this guy, wrestling in the Dome, wrestling Okada, the Big Swerve feud, and now potentially wrestling Kenny Omega at the next pay-per-view. Nah. And I can sit here and say that I was wrong because I was like, I fear if he goes over there, he could be lost in the shuffle. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. I mean, there was moments where I definitely was like, okay, Ricochet there's a bunch of wrestlers that can hit high fly. There are a bunch of wrestlers that could do some things that he could do. There's a possibility that he could get lost in there. I'm so happy to be wrong. I'm so happy that he's in this position. So happy that he showed fools that he could do promos. And yeah, this could be leading to a showdown with him and Kenny Omega. And to go from Swerve to Kenny Omega is just how it should be.
Yeah, incredible. I do think eventually you got to put some gold on this guy. I don't think it'll be the international championship, but it feels like he's inevitably going to win a singles title because he's just too good right now.
I think there's a lot of makings and guys that we've talked about to make the TNT title division one of the best divisions in the world. I don't know if that's going to be what happens here, but I think they definitely have all the tools to do it.
I mean, yeah, just what I described with the hologram match on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Ricochet being the TNT champion on Saturday and mixing it up with all of those guys, Mortos and Speedball, and having the big cruiserweight style matches over there on Saturday, making that a fixture on Saturdays, I think that could be great for him.
Mm-hmm. And selfishly, I want that so bad.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, last big moment of the week. Again, Roman Reigns has returned to WWE.
He's back.
He's back again.
I'm like, he just came back 2 weeks ago, but no, he's back. First of all, it's been a funny week because I knew immediately after the Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher cage match, Phil, that people were going to be like, there's a cage match tomorrow too. So I knew what the discourse was going to be already coming into this Monday Night Raw, that it wasn't going to be great.
I just don't think you can compare them. I don't think you should compare them.
No.
I saw people doing it back and forth with Bully, and it's just like, guys, stop doing this. But yeah, the second they announced that the cage match was going to happen after the big pull apart brawl with Seth and Punk last week, I was like, okay, this is where Roman comes back, because they're not going to do the definitive ending to this just based on the way it's built. We're going to get back to Roman in some way here. And they've been promoting possibly doing a triple threat match for a while. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, we're probably going to see Roman. It's in Madison Square Garden. Like, what the reaction was going to be there. And it was exactly what you knew. Roman in the Garden is going to be big. And so the match itself, I thought the match was good. I think that Seth and Punk have good chemistry together. I really liked their first match on the debut episode on Netflix. And this match was more of the same, of that them going back and forth using each other's finishers. These guys very much make you believe that they hate each other. The animosity feels real between them. Because, I mean, it's something about the way that Seth hits him with the GTS. He puts some stank on it every time he hits him with it. It just feels like, no, I'm really trying to cave this man's face in every time I do it. So the match itself was good, but throughout the match, they kept doing this bit of the door being open. At one point, the door is open, and Punk's like pointing to them. You could just go out the door, just go out the door. And so Rollins does the same thing. And every time they kept pointing to the door, I was like, I know Roman's going to be at the door eventually because they keep leaving it open. And so the match goes along. Like I said, fun match overall. Out of nowhere, I think the camera angle of it was great because we don't see Roman. We just hear the crowd getting louder. And then you see him dragging Rollins out of the ring. And Rollins is looking at him like he's seeing a ghost when he pulls him out.
Not for nothing. Pretty good finish, though.
Yeah, I thought the finish and everything they did was smart. I think it was a great way to set up the triple threat. I am not the biggest fan of them doing a triple threat, but I think the execution so far from Royal Rumble on has made it interesting. Just the aftermath of them getting eliminated from the Rumble, even the stuff at Elimination Chamber, the pull-apart stuff they did with Punk and Seth. I think it's all been building very well. And Roman is Roman. He pulled up looking like a big star. He had the brick by brick fours on. Looked clean.
Still very over. Can't take that away from him.
Still very over. That crowd went absolutely nuts when they saw Roman. No shock there. He beat my guy down. I felt bad because I was like, dang, man, not too much on him. But at the same time, I did remember he did try to stomp this man's face through the concrete. Royal Rumble. So he did come back with all the receipts. But the funniest bit of all of this is he's beating down Rollins, finishes it up, and then he looks in the ring, and Heyman is helping Punk up. And boy, you would have thought he saw his wife in there with another man. He was like, yo, what is this? He hops in and immediately starts beating up Punk. Very funny. His reaction to the whole thing was very funny to me.
Kind of the same reaction you would see if you found your girl with another man. Start fighting the dude. It's like, wait, what did he do?
And Heyman's the whole time just looking like, no, my tribal chief. No. He's like doing the praying hands. No, it's nothing, my tribal chief.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way that you do. I would rather it be Rollins and Roman one-on-one because I think they earn that position. But all the beats they're doing to get to the match, I think, are really good. Having Rollins be able to win the match because Roman pulled him out plays into that, but then still going to beat up Punk. Like all of it is really good stuff, you know?
Yes. Yeah, because out of all of this, Punk can still say, well, you never beat me. You still did not beat me. And then you still have the Roman stuff lingering over it. Both of them have very different dynamics with Roman. They both have different reasons to have animosity. The promos with each of these guys are going to be fantastic for different reasons. The only reason I would prefer a one-on-one match is because I feel like it does a little bit of a disservice to their respective stories with Roman.
It does.
To try and cram it all into one match because Punk Roman is its own thing. There's so much history you can play off of. There's so much going into that. But then also Roman and Rollins has so much history. There's so much you can reference here. And so trying to cram all of that into like a month build. Yeah. It's just going to be a lot. And I don't think it's going to do either of those storylines the service that it deserves. Like those two things deserve to have the space to feel like a big match, and I'm not sure how you could possibly do that with the triple threat. Now, I think the match itself still feels like a big match. I do think it's going to be good.
Main event, probably because Roman's in it.
Which gets me to, I wrote an article this week, and my thing is, we always feel like as fans, the company should listen to us. And that plays into everything we just said with the Swerve thing. Yep. The crowd is telling you they want Swerve, so you should acquiesce. And the crowd was very much at one point behind Jey Uso. So I understand why you made the decision to make him the Royal Rumble winner. Long term, I don't think that has aged great. I think that Jey deserved that moment. I think that that's a nice full circle moment for him. But I just don't think this is going to be the match that it could have been without all the rest of this build around it. It now feels like an afterthought in comparison to the Cena stuff or this stuff. Those two things feel much bigger.
Right. It's unfortunate, but it's also kind of a good problem for them to have because they have so many different... They have 2 nights of WrestleMania and so many slots that could be slotted in. Like, it's not going to be the craziest thing in the world if, like, what I think is going to happen, Jey Uso and Gunther start this whole, night one, match one is that match. It'll be fine, but it still says something when all the other things going on and Jey Uso is going to have and supposed to get this big moment. It just looks weird when everything else is around it.
And we've seen WWE do this before where they reward the fan favorite, but you can tell what is the company's first priority. When they go with somebody that the audience is telling them they want, a lot of times they'll go, yeah, sure, let's do that. But then also they'll remind you at every turn, like this guy is the top guy. And it feels like Jey is being rewarded, but they're still very much telling you like Roman is still the big match. Cena, Cody are still the two guys we're building our WrestleMania angle around. And in some ways, it's a good problem to have, but at the same time, it kind of sucks for Jey because I think it's taken quite a bit of the air out of the sails that he had coming out of Royal Rumble because it doesn't feel like there's as much momentum around that storyline.
Right. And I don't know if it's necessarily his fault. I think that
it's not his fault at all.
He ran into a lot of issues. I think initially with like people being so upset about the win and kind of how things happen, like it's unfortunate, but I think like this guy still is really over. This guy still is in this position and still could do the things. I just don't know. It does feel like that. It feels like we're giving you a reward, and that's what the double world championship thing I think could come into thing, because that's another story as like it's not as hot as the other championships. But I mean, is it going to matter when he gets the big win at WrestleMania and wins the championship? Doesn't this all kind of wash away?
No, because I do think he's gonna win. At this point, I feel
Right.
like he has to win.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make me feel good about his potential run moving forward.
The rest of it, yeah.
It feels like the second they feel like they can put that belt on a bigger star, they're gonna
going
have
to.
to lose. And yeah, but you know, I think that the build for WrestleMania has progressively gotten better, because at one point I was like, this is not hitting. This do not feel like a WrestleMania build, especially after Royal Rumble. I was like, I don't know, guys. Like, this don't feel like a big WrestleMania build. But now, since the Cena heel turn, Roman being back, the Punk stuff, the EO, Bianca, and Rhea stuff, it feels like they're clicking on all cylinders now.
They're finally getting the marquee matchups in place. I think because we're a little bit confused as to like, what are they going to do with Punk? Is he going to be added to the match? What are they going to do with Cena? Like, now that we know everybody's kind of path, it makes things easier. So it should be that those are some big matches. It'll be a big show. Like Cena and Cody's going to be gigantic. So they got to where they needed to.
Yeah. I think that's all of our Humper chats.
Yeah, we got a couple of super chats before we get out of here. Leonard Aaronson III says WWE is where tag teams go to appear on main event and compete for the WWE Twitter title. Nobody cares less about tag teams than WWE.
Twitter. Twitter is pretty funny. Twitter.
AH. Nobody really
Twitter.
cares about tag team wrestling across the board. So,
yeah, I think AEW is getting into a better position, but that's why I'm like, if you put Kyle back in the tag division, it wouldn't hurt, because the tag division needs something big like that.
Right. Dan Jackson says Reg recruits and does music for AEW. Give Reg money.
Now, give my friend some money for real.
I'm doing it for
seriously,
free,
get a
I
drummer
guess.
song.
So why would they?
Nah, seriously. Give my brother some.
Not for real, though. For real. Look at me. Look at me in the eyes. You watching this? I know you're watching this. Sheldon Mysterio says, thoughts on MJF and MVP segment and where this goes?
I liked it. I thought it was a pleasant surprise. I didn't expect them to go that route with it, but with their history together, I thought it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, this was I didn't expect them to, because I was like, Max is going to get into something we're probably unexpected coming out of this Hangman stuff. But having the thing with MVP was not on my bingo card, as they say. But I thought it was awesome. MVP was incredible in the segment, and I like MJF in whatever position he was playing in this. I thought it was great. And then
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And then our last super chat is from Will Chisholm, who says, EO slapping Rhea and Bianca popped me.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought that was a great way for her to be like, nah, what are y'all doing? This is about me. I'm the champion.
Yeah, good work from all of them. That triple threat match is going to be fire. Thank you to everybody for submitting super chats today. Y'all have been very generous and very cool.
Yeah, appreciate you guys for sending in your supers and your Humper chats. Appreciate you guys for pulling up, supporting your boys as usual. We will be back next Saturday as always. But until then, this has been Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey. It's Righteous Reg. We are up out of here.
Yes, sir.